This is KSL News Radio,
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9:01 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour, we've learned about another fatal motorcycle crash in South Jordan over the weekend. Police are telling us a car was attempting to turn into a parking lot when it hit a motorcycle on Redwood Road near 104th South. The 31-year-old rider died at the scene. Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden recently said motorcycle fatalities have been a huge problem we've been seeing around the state this year.
They're definitely overrepresented, and it's something that we just need to take seriously and do something about it.
This is at least the 7th fatal motorcycle crash just in South Jordan so far this year. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Trump administration now preparing for the high-stakes meeting in Alaska between President Trump and Russia's President Vladimir Putin about the war in Ukraine. ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz has more.
The Ukrainian president is left on the sidelines of this week's meeting. Several European leaders, including France, Germany, and the UK, issuing a joint statement insisting the path to peace in Ukraine cannot be decided without Ukraine.
President Trump says a land use trade could be something both parties are interested in. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 151 points to 44,127. Coming up today, the coolest day it'll be this week. We'll check KSL weather next. KSL News Time 9:02. The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Anytime is the perfect time to go to NPS, but there's something magic that happens at this time of year, in the middle of the summertime, to go into NPS and buy the things that your family needs. For some of the celebrations that are going on, the picnics, the barbecues, even taking care of your yard, NPS has it all. In their 4 locations, you're going to find incredible deals. And don't forget, this is the starting point. Savings of 20 to 70% off the retail each and every day, each and every store. But then on top of that, you'll get additional savings that make the dollars you save incredible. And don't forget, each of the stores, they have different deals and different opportunities. There's the Salt Lake Anchor store, 1600 South Empire Road, and then just across the road is the more industrial products, and then in Layton on North Main Street and in Orem on North State Street. You're going to love NPS.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we have an unusual event southbound I-15 just before the 90th South exit in Sandy. Looks like a vehicle may have lost an orange cone that was right in the middle of the freeway. So center lane was blocked. People were trying to weave around it. Then they moved all these vehicle over to the left shoulder. And now you have UHP on the scene along with incident management. All of that has traffic backed up to about 53rd South and Murray. It's at a crawl through that entire stretch. You still have a little bit of slowing southbound I-15 from Kaysville to Farmington and Davis County, as well as delays northbound I-15 trying to get between the 201 freeway and downtown Salt Lake City. Why settle for a basic night out when all tickets for Utah Symphony and Utah Opera performances are now on sale? Don't wait. Prices go up after August 31st. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today be sunny with highs around 92, low 90s. The sun and warm weather will stick around until Wednesday when it'll go up to 100, and then Maybe it'll cool down a little bit after that. Right now, it is 73 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
And we've got some breaking news out of Washington, D.C. The White House this morning is announcing that the federal government is taking over the police department in Washington, D.C. We've been listening to President Trump this morning, his Department of Defense leader, Pete Hegseth, Pam Bondi. We're just now listening to the FBI director. Let's go live to that right now.
And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right. We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, we got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Some of those people, we don't know how they even got there. Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. We're getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 DC National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more. You remember I said, I offered 10,000 once. Remember I said to a certain person, who I thought always was highly overrated, not very competent, but I said, if you need them, we'll give you 10,000 of the military or the National Guard. They turned me down. But if necessary, we're going to move service members directly to joining the Guardsmen. And that'll take place very rapidly, and that'll be done in conjunction with Pam and with Pete and everybody else. Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world. And we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful, so beautiful. Some of the buildings, we're going to add to it. You see what we've done at the White House. White House is a whole different building. I do that in my part-time because it's a natural instinct as a real estate person. I was very good at that, and I was very good at fixing things up. I like fixing things up. You see what's happening. The marble floors are being reinstalled, renovated, fixed. The whole place is becoming very beautiful. We're going to be adding a magnificent ballroom, most beautiful ballroom, I think, anywhere. We need it. I would have certainly loved to have had it today. I think we would have filled it up. A lot of you are standing outside, can't get in this room. I have never seen the room like this, which tells me that you want to talk about, I mean, this was a D.C. news conference. It tells me that you want to talk about crime in D.C. and beautification of D.C., but I'm going to put that's easy. And I think, frankly, fixing the crime with the pros, fixing the crime is easy, too. A person who I've known for a long time, and she's been incredible. She was a fantastic, one of the best ever district attorneys in New York. She was in Westchester, and she became a judge, very successful judge. And then she went into showbiz because she was such a good DA and such a good judge, tough judge, but fair, always fair. Nobody ever complained about that, but she was tough. And because of that and her reputation, she went into showbiz. So a lot of people don't, they think of Janine as showbiz. Actually, showbiz was not her thing. And she did great. She was on, along with a couple of other of my friends, on the #1 show. And she did great, but this is what she loves doing. This is really her baby. What she's going to do is going to be incredible. And I'd like to speak for just a few seconds on what she has in mind, what she wants to do. We're going to be appointing some judges. We have some open spots, and we're going to take people, because the judges are letting killers out. They just say, go, that's okay, don't worry about it. So we're putting some, Pam recommended, Todd recommended, some judges that a great Janine recommended. Janine's given me 3 great candidates already. We have about 10 open spots, and we could probably create some more. We need them. Janine, would you say a few words, please?
We've been listening to a live press conference from the White House. It started about 30 minutes ago. President Trump was outlining, it was supposed to start an hour and 15 minutes ago, but he was trying to outline what's going to happen with the Washington, D.C. Police Department. And it seems, Holly, that he is now taking that department under federal control. He's placed his Department of Justice Secretary Pam Bondi as leader of that that police force, and actually placed another individual as sort of the chief of police, the I don't know what you'd call it, the commissioner of public safety there.
He's federalizing the police for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure. And he's also indicated, in addition to the number of police officers that they already have in Washington, D.C., that he's deploying the National Guard. He had Pete Hegseth there as Department of Defense Secretary, indicating that they would also have the United States military there. And we've also heard that the FBI will have agents on the ground acting in law enforcement capacity as well. He started out by saying that he had a chart that went through all of the high crime areas in the world, and I don't know whether this is accurate or not, but his chart seemed to indicate that Washington, D.C. is the most dangerous place to live in the entire planet, and compared it with cities such as Baghdad and others, and said we're less safe here than we are in other places in the country.
I'm not sure that's factually accurate.
Yeah, I don't know where he has the information, but he certainly did. He also said that he's going to be getting rid of the slums.
And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live. Caravans of mass youth rampage through city streets at all times of the day. They're in ATVs, motorbikes. They travel pretty well.
Talking about the homelessness and the fact that he felt that was a bit of a scar on the city as visitors come in, talked about millions of people who visit the D.C. area, thought that it should be more beautiful than it is, talked about the crime in the area, graffiti, the homeless population, and basically said they're all going now. We're getting rid of them all right now. He also talked about Washington, D.C., he said, should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities in the world.
Washington, D.C. should be one of the safest, cleanest, and most beautiful cities anywhere in the world. And we're going to make it that. We're going to make it safe. We're going to make it smart. We're going to make it beautiful. So beautiful.
And speaking of the homeless population, this is what he said was his plan for addressing homeless.
Some of those people are from different countries, different parts of the world. Nobody knows who they are. They have no idea, but they're there. We're getting rid of the people from underpasses and public spaces from all over the city. There are many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see.
So you don't really solve homelessness by just moving people to other locations?
And that's almost exactly what he said. They'll be somewhere else soon, which means, D.C., New York. I mean, they're already D.C., New York, Chicago, whatever. He's sending them elsewhere.
Right. Yeah, that's super interesting. And I let's just stay with this topic when we come back after the break, and we'll see if there's any new information coming out of D.C. Stay with us.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
19 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
Everyone needs a checking account, so get the one with built-in benefits to complement your unique lifestyle. Mountain America's MyStyle Checking has perks no one can pass up. You'll enjoy sizzling restaurant deals, peace of mind mobile phone protection, timely telehealth access, built-in identity protection, and clutch loan rate discounts. Make MyStyle your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle. Insured by NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration or activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
It is the time of year for you to get ready for back to school and the Labor Day weekend that is not too far off in the distance. It's time to make your reservations for Labor Day at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And while you're doing all of that shopping, getting the kids ready for their higher education, whether it's downtown Salt Lake City or up in the Park City area, there's a Ruth's Chris Steakhouse waiting for you. Now, these long, hard days of shopping, you deserve a treat at the end of that day. And at 275 Southwest Temple in downtown Salt Lake City, Ruth's Chris is ready to take care of you. And up at Park City with the outlets and everything there, why don't you make your reservations at Hotel Park City's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse? The meal you have been longing for. Best of all, you don't have to prepare it. You don't have to clean up after it. You just have to sit back and enjoy that delicious steak, entree, dessert, side dishes at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Inside Sources.
We've been listening this morning to a live press conference out of the White House. President Trump is talking about a federal takeover of the Washington, D.C. Police Department, indicating that National Guard troops will be brought in. Some federal military personnel may be brought in as well. But at any rate, that police department itself will be under federal control. And he talked about the way that police officers have been treated there and the fact that they've been much too compliant and much too standing down too much in the way that they're treated. And here's what he said is going to happen in the future.
Entire neighborhoods are now under emergency curfews. Just this past weekend, gunfire went through, and you saw that, the Navy Yard. I saw it this morning. They saw that they fought back against law. See, they fight back until you knock the hell out of them, because it's the only language they understand. But they fought back against law enforcement last night. And they're not going to be fighting back long, because I've instructed them and told them whatever happens, they love to spit in the face of the police. As the police are standing up there in uniform, they're standing and they're screaming at them an inch away from their face. And then they start spitting in their face. And I said, you tell them, you spit and we hit. And they can hit real hard. It's a disgusting thing. I've watched that for years, for 3-4 years. I've watched them. The police are standing, and they're told, don't do anything under any search. So and you can see they want to get at it. And they're standing there, and people are spitting in their face, and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
I am not sure that's a great idea.
No, it's probably not. I mean, who knows what's going to happen here? But and I know that the authorities in the District of Columbia are not pleased with this. They're certainly not on board with it.
They're not. And look, one of the things where we have a point of disagreement between Washington, D.C., the mayor, and you have data from the DOJ that says there has been a big drop in crime. This was DOJ right before President Trump was sworn in. So it was the Department of Justice data. It says in addition to the overall violent crime reduction, homicides were down 32%, robberies down 39%, armed carjackings down 53%, assaults with a dangerous weapon down 27% when compared with 2023 levels. But President Trump said it's worse than ever. It's worse than Baghdad. It's worse than, Bogota, Colombia. And he has federalized basically the takeover of Washington, D.C. and put it under federal control.
Don't you think a lot of this stemmed from the DOJ employee who was beaten? And let's face it, it was a bad confrontation. And I think that the administration felt like we were not taking that as seriously as we could have.
Yes, there's part of that, and as I understand, it was 3:00 in the morning, and there were a couple of 15-year-old boys. So not like roving gangs, right? But a couple of dumb kids trying to carjack. Anyway, yes. And also, if you look at what's happening on social media, there are a lot of people saying he is doing anything he can to divert attention from the Epstein files.
Yeah, and this is another example. Although this press conference has been going now, Holly, for better part of
an hour.
45 minutes, and he's gone all over the place. I mean, he spent some time on transgender issues.
Yeah.
What that had to do with where he was going. He
judges
spent a lot of time. Yeah, talked about judges and appointing judges. I mean, he's just bouncing all over the place, and he's got Hegseth and Bondi standing behind him, who at times look amused, uncomfortable, and stiff as they could be. Although each of them have been able to speak for a few seconds.
Look, again, one of the concerns that I have is hearing the President of the United States basically authorize law enforcement to use violence no matter what, right? They're unleashed, he says, so that they can hit back. Well, I don't know that that's the best approach. So there's an example that just happened over the weekend. This is on NPR. And so we had some National Guard troops in the Capitol over the weekend. We also had uniformed agents from the FBI and the DEA. So at one intersection, there was a minor traffic accident between a car and a moped. There were at least 24 agents running, some wearing masks, at least one carrying a rifle, plus local D.C. Metropolitan Police for one minor accident.
Yeah. And you have to imagine this, that he's talking to his base. He's not talking to the law enforcement officers there in the District of Columbia, because my guess is this, Holly, not much is going to change. They're not going to start hitting people for spitting in their faces. They're not going to take, I don't know. He's given them carte blanche to do things that they wouldn't have before. But I just work with law enforcement enough to know they're trained. They know what they can do. And we still have civil rights actions available for when police cross the line. So I don't know that's going to be that's going to be a major change in the way the Washington, D.C. Police Department responds to situations. I mean, let's hope not, because we don't want that to start happening.
Yeah, but you have ICE too, right? So you can look at what's happening with with ICE. So people wearing masks, not announcing who they are, they're armed, they're tackling people to the ground, they're punching them in the head. I mean, if you're authorizing that, I'm not saying that Metropolitan Police would necessarily do that, and maybe these federal agents won't either, but I'm thinking that it's a possibility for sure.
Right. And he's talking about a couple of things. One is crime-fighting efforts. He felt that crime had gone rampant in Washington, D.C. He also talked about the homeless population. He talked about, what he called the slums, that we're going to get rid of the slums. We're going to move them somewhere else. He all but said that. In other words, you can't just eliminate them. You just get them out of D.C. because he's thinking this is the treasure of the country. And, of course, it is in a lot of respects. I mean, people come to Washington, D.C. from all over the world.
Millions of visitors every year.
Right. And they should be able to see a clean, safe place. It doesn't mean that you make the neighboring cities, Baltimore and others, less safe by moving the homeless population out there, but you can't just say, okay, it's illegal to be homeless in Washington, D.C. It's not going to exist.
Well, he said I think, quote, we will help them, but they will help them by moving them out of the city. And later in the show, we're going to actually talk with some people in Utah who are doing providing real solutions for addressing the homeless situation. They're not just advocating, hey, let's move them and then we'll solve it. So look, that's a secondary issue, but it's combined, I think, in President Trump's approach to say we're going to address homelessness by moving everybody who's homeless out of the city, and then we're going to crack down on crime as well.
And he's also saying, look, other cities need to start paying attention. They need to watch what we're doing here. He's come down hard on what we call cashless bail. In other words, and it's sort of wouldn't call it a theme around the country right now, but the idea of bail and setting bail. Of course, the defense attorney in me says, well, you're innocent until proven guilty. Why have bail at all? But I also understand that you can't just have people sitting or outside, walking the streets after they commit serious crimes. But he's saying that D.C. has too long had what he calls cashless bail. In other words, you're sort of released on what we call your own recognizance.
Right.
And I completely understand that. There comes a point in a time when you do have to hold people for violent crimes if you have what we call probable cause to believe that they've done something or they could potentially hurt others. So, I mean, I can understand that, but I'm not sure what he means exactly by cashless bail. I don't think that's across the board in D.C., but I do think there's a movement across the country to keep our jails from being places where you just house people.
Well, look, so now you have a secondary issue where, if you remember, it's been pretty recently, a week or two ago, maybe 2 weeks, maybe, where President Trump issued an executive order telling states, we want you to do more with the homelessness issue. And by the way, we want to make it easier for civil commitment. So I'm wondering if that's his solution. Right. So if you can civilly commit somebody, or you're going to round them up and you're going to stick them in jail, or you're going to stick them in some kind of institution, right, mental institution, is that your solution for homelessness? Is that what he's going to be doing in D.C.? Because he just told the states, look, you're free to do that.
Right. And it may be something he's doing. He's now talking about other cities and saying, well, this may be something we're about to do in Chicago. And he just said, I hope the people in L.A. are paying attention.
Well, look, I don't think as president you can take over any city you feel like, especially if they're run by a Democratic mayor, and just say, well, I don't like how you're running your city. What happened to the Republican Party being the party of local control? I don't see it.
Right. It's all part of this national emergency, these executive orders, these things that he feels are part of an emergency. And he does have tremendous authority, Holly, in the cases of emergencies. But crime isn't such a point in this country right now that we have an emergency as it relates to how it's been over the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah, we just talked with Jay Evenson from the Deseret News about how much crime has dropped.
Yeah. When we come back after the break, Utah is, this has been, we may follow up with this press conference, by the way, but when we come back after the break, Utah is on track to set a record, and this is not a good one, Holly. We're talking about motorcycle deaths. We've been talking about this off and on over the last couple of weeks. We just had another one in South Jordan this weekend. We'll
terrible.
Talk about that.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. A Utah family had a close call while camping in the backcountry this weekend when the Beulah fire in the Uintas started moving towards them. Nate Weaver tells KSL TV they couldn't get to their truck because of the fire, so they headed the other direction.
The kids were pretty worried about the situation, but I'm not a huge fan of consuming emergency resources if they're not absolutely necessary.
They ended up hiking 37 miles to get to safety. They used a map, a compass, and satellite text messaging with a family member to find their way out. Wildlife officials are considering reintroducing bighorn sheep to Fremont Island. The endangered species are already on Antelope Island and have been thriving over the last 5 years. KSL.com reports Boulder is another location being scouted for the sheep. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is unveiling his plan to crack down on crime in the nation's capital today after threatening a federal takeover of Washington, D.C.
Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that.
City police are now enforcing an 8 p.m. juvenile curfew in parts of the city after a teenager fired shots at a park in the Navy Yard district. Your money at this moment, the market's down. The Dow down 162 points to 44,014. Coming up, coolest day of the week this week. We could be up to triple digits by Wednesday. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at EnduranceWarranty.com. If you have a 2004 or newer vehicle that's out of warranty or about to be, Endurance is urgently notifying U.S. drivers about their low-cost vehicle coverage plan designed to save drivers thousands on rising vehicle repair costs. Those who qualify can pick their plan, coverage, and repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental cars included. All covered repairs get paid directly to the repair shop for you. Call now for your free quote. Call 800-298-7906. 800-298-7906.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text Office 44 to 32 32 32. Office 44 to 32 32 32. CordellCordell.com.
Everything's a little better when it's super. Heroes, markets, sized, and of course, checks. A super check gives you an in-depth review of your current insurance coverage with a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent, no matter who your insurance provider is. That's super cool. Talk to a Farm Bureau agent to make sure you're properly covered at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Time for a check of traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we have some good news for anybody coming out of Wyoming, heading westbound I-80 toward Echo Junction. The freeway has reopened. It was closed for a while due to a rollover crash, but you still have delays in the area. They're backed up for a couple of miles approaching the point of entry. Otherwise, you've got a fairly good drive now, except for southbound I-15 from Murray into Sandy area. It's still a little bit slow from an earlier crash that we had. That has cleared. You also still have a crash on the exit ramp from northbound I-215 to I-80. That is in the road construction zone. There's only 2 lanes of main flow available, and now this crash involving multiple vehicles is partially blocking that exit ramp, so traffic is still backed up to the 201 freeway on the west side belt. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, sunny. Highs around 90s, in the low 90s. The sun and warm weather sticks around through Wednesday. After that, it could potentially cool down a little bit, or it will cool down a little bit, and it might potentially rain. Right now, it is sunny. 73 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Following a beautiful weekend with beautiful weather where there were tons of motorcycles out this morning, all weekend. I actually had one of mine out for a little while, but we're learning today that there was another motorcycle death in Utah over this weekend, Holly.
You know, it's an issue that we have been talking about here. We were on track to set a new record, and not a good one, right, in how many motorcycle deaths we've had this season. And since we did our first conversation about that a few weeks ago, I have really tried to notice motorcyclists on the road, and I have seen people, which feels like really unsafe behavior, weaving in and out of traffic and, whipping around cars on the wrong side. I mean, it's so distressing for me to watch it and then hear another story about another motorcyclist who was killed.
Right, and here's Adam Small with the details of the latest story.
Police are telling us this happened Saturday night on Redwood Road near 104th South. They say a car ran into the motorcycle when it was trying to turn into a parking lot. The 31-year-old man riding that motorcycle died at the scene. This is just the latest death in what Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden recently told me is expected to be the deadliest year for Utah motorcyclists since 2010.
We have to work together for motorcyclists and for other motorists to work together to see a change in these type of fatalities.
This is also at least the 7th fatal motorcycle crash just in the city of South Jordan so far this year. Another 31-year-old rider was actually killed in nearly the same location less than 2 weeks ago. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
And we're lucky to have with us this morning Cameron Roden from the Utah Highway Patrol. And, we had you on before, Cameron, about what's going on with motorcycles. We didn't expect we'd have you back so quickly, but the number of accidents and injuries and deaths just continues.
Yeah, and that's why, like I said, we've visited about this several times over the last several weeks just because we've been monitoring this spike in crashes and fatalities, and so we want to make sure that we get this news out there, especially to motorcycle riders, so that they know what things we're seeing that are causing these crashes. That way people can change and know what they can do, whether that be equipment or riding behavior or gear, and that way they can keep themselves safe.
So, Lieutenant Roden, can you actually give us numbers? What are the numbers compared to last year or a typical year even?
Last year was a record-setting year. That last year was the highest year we had in 15 years. And at this same point in time, we had 35 fatalities last year. This year, we're sitting at 47 fatalities, which is a 34% increase from last year. So not a good record. July was the highest month on record. We had 14 motorcycle fatalities just in the month of July alone. So we still have a lot of riding season left. So hopefully we can continue to get this message out there. We've got a really aggressive motorcycle campaign going on right now, trying to just hit people where they are, whether that be social media or traditional media, just letting them know of the things that they can do to keep themselves safe.
Wow.
Lieutenant Roden, in terms of the Highway Patrol responding to motorcycle accidents, and I'm sure the numbers aren't straight up on this, but are most of the accidents caused by mistakes on the part of the motorcyclists or mistakes on the part of motorists? So I'm thinking of all the lane splitting and stuff that scares me when motorcycles do that. But I also look at the number of left-hand turns that it seems motorists, car drivers are doing in front of motorcycles. So maybe it's an equal split. I don't know who's more at fault these days. I'm not sure it's important, but I'm just wondering.
No, that's a good thing to look at, because we do look at that data to see ultimately where those crashes are happening. A good half of those crashes are just a single motorcycle crash, no other vehicles involved, whether that be a motorcycle going off in a curve or going too fast and losing control. So half of those are just a single motorcycle, and then the other half are multiple vehicles involved. And even with the multiple vehicles involved, sometimes it's a motorcyclist who's at fault in that crash. So we've really been talking towards motorcyclists and helping them to understand, to keep themselves from being involved in a crash. But it is important for other motorists to do their part too. You know, look out for motorcyclists before you change lanes. They could be in that blind spot. Majority of the multi-vehicle crashes are a vehicle turning left in front of a motorcycle. So at those intersections, it's hard to gauge the speed and distance of a motorcycle. Just err on the side of caution and let that motorcycle pass if need be.
So when you're doing this campaign right now to get the word out, are you targeting every driver, motorcycle, car, everything?
Yeah, we message both to the motorcyclist and to the motorist, but especially the demographics. You know, younger males tend to be more of the demographic who are riders, so we try to target them as much as we can. But it's not just specifically them that are the ones that are causing these crashes. So it's important for us to get these message out to everybody.
Lieutenant Roden, can you help our listeners, especially those that ride motorcycles like myself, understand the current status of the law in Utah as it relates to motorcycle? And I know we did this before, but I still see it happening every day where motorcyclists drive between vehicles in a way that I don't believe is legal because the vehicles are moving at the time.
Yeah, and it's something we will keep repeating, because whether it's a misconception or people just kind of say, hey, you know, the laws have changed here in Utah and there's a disregard for the safety on lane splitting. But lane splitting itself, which is like on I-15 or other high-speed roadways, is not legal, and it should not be done. It's just not safe to travel between those cars. So you have to operate on those highways and higher-speed roadways just like every other vehicle. Lane filtering in Utah is legal, but there's specific requirements for that to happen. It has to be on lower-speed roadways of any road that's 45 miles an hour or slower. There has to be multiple lanes traveling in the same direction. Traffic has to be at a stop, and you have to be able to execute that maneuver safely so that it doesn't cause a crash. So, again, lane filtering is okay, but lane splitting is illegal, and it's just too dangerous.
I have one final question, just a quick one, I hope. So back to school starting. Are there any specific cautions for motorcyclists when it comes to back to school safety?
Yeah, just knowing that the kids are going to be out there, and we're starting to lose that daylight, so they're going to be out during hours which is dark. It's going to be harder to see them. So as a motorcyclist, too, just like any other vehicle, you need to make sure you're watching for kids, slowing down in those residential and school zones, so that you can react to a kid that maybe steps off the sidewalk into the roadway or tries to cross, and it's hard to see. So as we go back to school, we usually tend to see pedestrian crashes and fatalities start to peak during this fall time as we're moving into fall. So a good reminder for us.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden about motorcycle fatalities. And when we come back, we're going to talk about search and rescue. They have been busy this year. We were so happy to hear that the 14-year-old who went missing in the Uintas last week was found safely. And next, did you know you may have easy access to satellite communication right on your smartphone? We will learn more about this potentially life-saving feature from Utah County Search and Rescue after the break.
Andy, my husband and I had Bedrock Quartz redo 3 bathrooms for us, 2 in the old house and 1 in the new house. And I loved working with them for so many reasons. One of which is that they're like a 4-generation family-owned business here in Utah that has been installing countertops and making beautiful kitchens and bathrooms for years and years.
Well, at my house, I suffer from what's called paralysis of choice. When you've got something as wide-ranging with the different types of counters that they offer with quartz, quartzite, like I didn't even know what the difference between those things are. I'm going to need that kind of help when I go through the process.
Oh, they have wonderful designers. Plus, when you go in their showrooms, it's super easy. At station number 1, you select your color and your material. Then you go to station number 2. And you pick out your backsplash, and then you go to number 3, and you select your faucets. It's so easy to do.
They've got what's called employee pricing for everyone. This is the first time they've ever offered this.
For the month of July through August, everyone gets the friends and family discount.
They've got 9 locations near you from Layton to St. George, including a new one in Salt Lake City. BedrockQuartz.com. That's BedrockQuartz.com.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
It's the final countdown during Motorsportsland's summer clearance event. We've got to make room for next year's inventory, so now's your chance to save tens of thousands on in-stock models before they're gone. Chase sunsets, roast marshmallows, and make memories that stick long after the trip is over. Want adventure on a budget? You're in luck. We have travel trailers from just $6 a day and fifth wheels starting under $14 a day. Whether it's quick weekend getaways or long summer road trips, we've got the RV to fit your lifestyle. And remember, our prices include freight, prep, propane, and even personalized RV training at no extra charge. Other dealers, they'll stack on outrageous fees and pretend it's standard. But at Motorsportsland, we don't play that game. We've been family-owned and proudly local for over 55 years, doing business the honest way. So skip the gimmicks, shop where the pros shop, and let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful when Mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. I wanted a better relationship with Dad, so I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
The new Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. And Greg, when we left our show on Friday, we had been talking about the 14-year-old who went missing in the Uintas last week. She was found safely shortly after our show finished up, so thank goodness for that.
I found a rock, and then it was a pretty nice rock, and I slept on the rock. Everybody was a lot more worried about me than I was.
I'm so relieved and so grateful to have her safe, and so thankful to all of the people that helped find her. Duchesne County Search and Rescue, their sheriff's department, they were amazing to work with.
So when we were here Friday, she had been missing since Thursday late morning. It had been over 24 hours.
Yeah.
And it was she had spent the night outside. We had the KSL Uinta Triangle podcast host Dave Cowley talked to us about that area and how thick it was. There are two different counties that border the Uinta Trail. One's Summit and one is Duchesne, and it was the Duchesne County authorities that were working on this one because of her location. They seem to have done a very good job. They got right to it the next morning and found her. Our show ended at 11. They found her right about then, right as we were wrapping up, and a lot of us were sort of just hanging by a thread because she was 14 years old. Maya Swiss is her name. We just heard from her and her mother about her missing, and she said two things. I found a rock. It looked kind of nice.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. And, hey, a lot of you were more worried about me than I was. But
I know.
She flagged down the helicopter, and she's home and safe.
Gosh, if I were her mom, just say, why were you worried for? I'll be like, oh, my gosh.
Right.
I was like, you took 40 years off my life.
Right.
That story was from KSL TV's Daniel Woodruff. But over the weekend, we had another story. They were not lost, but it's a Utah family who had a close call with the Beulah fire in the Uintas. They had to hike more than 30 miles on foot to get to safety. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and KSL TV spoke with Anna Weaver and her family, who told KSL TV that they used a compass, map, and satellite messaging to get back to safety.
We would text my mom through the Satellite Connect and be like, where are we? Which direction should we go? And she would tell us like north, south, east, west, and we would walk for another hour, send our location, do the whole thing again.
They kept a snowy peak on their horizon line.
We were never lost because we could always see the pass.
Yeah. It was just really far away.
Oh, wow. 30 some odd miles. I think 37 total.
Yeah.
By the time they got out, they did get out safely. And the map, the compass, and the satellite text messaging really helped them out.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we get to talk about right now. So Sergeant Dallin Turner with the Utah County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue is joining us on the line right now to talk to us about using satellite messaging for like in these situations. Welcome to our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So tell us what sort of features are out there. And I'll tell you, I have a little bit of experience in this, Sergeant Turner, because I work on the mountain patrol up at Powder Mountain. And sometimes we use imaging or satellite features to find gas. People get lost on the mountain all the time, but at least it's sort of a closed area. When you're talking about the hills and whatnot in Utah County and the rest of our state, we're talking about much, much bigger areas, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. We, we have vast mountainous areas that are, quick to lose cell service. So the satellite features on these smartphones these days are a big help.
So what are they? Tell our listeners about those features. What are they, and how do you use them when you're looking for someone?
Specifically on your iPhones, if you have an iPhone 14 or newer, they have this satellite connection capability. If you don't have cell service, you pull up your messaging app, your text message screen. It'll give you an option. It'll drop down and say, "Do you want to try satellite messaging?"
So
basically, you click on that, and it kind of takes it a second and scans, and it finds your location. Kind of pulls up a world globe, finds your location, and then it has you make sure you have a clear view of the sky without any obstructions. And then it just kind of scans for the nearest satellite, and it'll point you, if you need to turn right or left, and it'll get you connected to a satellite. As soon as you're connected to that satellite, you can start sending text messages.
That is so interesting. So, Sergeant Turner, I was up American Fork Canyon this weekend with my family, and we were up by Cascade Springs, and there was no cell coverage. I pulled up my phone. I didn't need to make a call or anything, but that was exactly the message that popped up for me, and I had never seen it before. So it sounds like this is something relatively new. Do you want to use satellite?
Yeah. I mean, myself included, I'd heard about it. I'd never really used it. But yeah, it just kind of started popping up, and it's actually a pretty cool feature. We've used it a few times on some of our call outs where we're, out searching for somebody. We've sent text messages we know they have a phone number, right? Their phone with them. They just don't have service. And I've used it on my phone, connected to the satellite, sent a text message, and they were able to respond back using the satellite as well. We've also used it between team members where if one of us is, up at American Fork Canyon, like you said, up by the Timpanuki Trailhead, there's no service there. And I've been there and needed to get a hold of somebody that's down in the valley to get some more information or to share some information, and been able to connect via satellite and get back to them and get the information that we're looking for. So it's super convenient.
Sergeant Turner, when you talk to groups who are going backcountry skiing, hiking, camping in the wilderness areas, what do you tell them? What do people mostly do wrong, I should say, that it causes search and rescue to have to get deployed?
A lot of the times, I don't know, it's hard to say if they really do something wrong. A lot of these guys, we get some that are prepared. A lot of them, they just get unlucky, I would say, and just either slip and fall or twist an ankle. But sometimes it is not being prepared where they don't show up, they don't bring enough water, they don't bring, proper clothing. So if the weather changes on them, starts raining or something, they get wet and they don't have a jacket or anything to put on. So then they get cold as soon as the sun goes down. So our biggest issues that we deal with in the summer months are dehydration and heat-related injuries.
So what do you recommend if people do not have satellite access? Maybe they don't have an Apple or an iPhone, or they don't have enough battery. What are their options?
The options that they have are limited at that point, but the best thing that they can do really is, if they know they're lost, is just kind of stay where they're at. A lot of times we can still, with that satellite feature, we can still sometimes get, even if their battery's dead, we can go through their phone provider and kind of get a last known location ping on their phone. So we kind of have a general area of where to look. It also helps if they've told somebody where they're going and what their plan was. That way as well, we kind of have a narrowed down area that we're going to be searching to see if we can locate them.
And finally, last question, how is your department typically notified that someone's lost? I mean, it's not something like they're 15 minutes late. There's got to be some time period or something where you're starting to go, hey, wait a minute, somebody's supposed to be at the trailhead at such and such a time, and then you guys have to get deployed. When do you decide you need to take action?
So, yeah, that's a great question, because sometimes, we'll get a phone call, hey, so-and-so is supposed to be back at this time. They're not back. They started from this trailhead. First of all, we'll just send one of our deputies to see if their vehicle's still there, especially in these areas where we know there's no cell service. And as soon as we get one of our deputies that's on patrol there, we'll have them go up and see if their vehicle's there. If their vehicle's still there, then that's when we'll start getting our volunteers headed that way to, head up the trail and try and locate them that way.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Sergeant Dallin Turner with the Utah County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue. And before we go to the break, just really quickly, if you want to know how to access it on your iPhone, swipe down from the top right corner to open your control center, then tap the cellular button on the right, tap satellite, and then choose a satellite feature, or you can do it through settings. We also had a texter just reach out and say that they have a really great story of being able to do a rescue in the Uintas using satellite service. So you do need to be outside with a clear view of the sky and the horizon, and be aware that trees with light foliage might slow down the connection. Dense trees might block the connection, but it's a really great feature.
And I think in this day and age, as important as it is to carry enough water, it's also important to carry enough life in your battery of your cell phone, because there are things available, satellite imaging, other ways that you can reach out to people if you're lost. When we come back, students and teachers are starting to head back to school this week. The state's new superintendent, Dr. Molly Hart, is live on the line to discuss the stubborn problem of chronic absenteeism and how the state plans to address it. Stay with us as we begin today's coverage of KSL in the Classroom.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges in Utah is back in court today for the opening of his Salt Lake County trial. Nicholas Rossi is accused of sexually assaulting a woman he briefly dated in 2008. Court documents say she reported it to police in 2022 after seeing headlines Rossi was fighting extradition from Scotland. Rossi is expected to stand trial for separate rape charges in Utah County next month. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says he's placing the Washington, D.C. Police Department under federal control and deploying the National Guard to make the nation's capital safer. The president promised to address homelessness and crime and says this is the end of, quote, days of ruthlessly killing or hurting innocent people. A Utah family had a close call while camping on the backcountry this weekend when the Beulah fire in the Uintas started moving towards them. Nate Weaver tells KSL TV they couldn't get to their truck because of the fire, so they headed the other direction.
The kids were pretty worried about the situation, but I'm not a huge fan of consuming emergency resources if they're not absolutely necessary.
They ended up hiking 37 miles to get to safety. They used a map, compass, and satellite text messaging with a family member to find their way out. Your money at this moment, the Dow in the negative, 88 points down to 44,087. Coming up, it's a picture-perfect summer day. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
It's the final countdown during Motorsportsland's summer clearance event. We've got to make room for next year's inventory, so now's your chance to save tens of thousands on in-stock models before they're gone. Chase sunsets, roast marshmallows, and make memories that stick long after the trip is over. Want adventure on a budget? You're in luck. We have travel trailers from just $6 a day and fifth wheels starting under $14 a day. Whether it's quick weekend getaways or long summer road trips, we've got the RV to fit your lifestyle. And remember, our prices include freight, prep, propane, and even personalized RV training at no extra charge. Other dealers, they'll stack on outrageous fees and pretend it's standard. But at Motorsportsland, we don't play that game. We've been family-owned and proudly local for over 55 years, doing business the honest way. So skip the gimmicks, shop where the pros shop, and let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
Big year. I'm starting middle school.
Welcome to the jungle, Missy.
Best part? My parents promised me a new laptop.
Perfect for homework, essays, and drudgery.
So we went to Staples. They had all the latest tech, and laptops were up to 40% off.
Woo! Another back-to-school budget saved by Staples Easy Button.
Mom high-fived the cashier. So embarrassing.
Staples.
That was easy.
In-store, online, and on the app. In Z23, select models only.
Whether you're building your $1 million dream home, giving your current home a facelift, or just trying to get it out of the minor leagues, Peach Windows and Doors brings the big league look.
Modern style, energy efficiency, clean lines, tough builds, and curb appeal that hits like a home run.
Not sure what you need? No sweat. Peach has the coaching staff to get your home in the game. No pressure, no gimmicks, just solid game plans and pro-level results to help you knock it out of the park.
Come see for yourself big, beautiful windows that bring the outside in. Visit Peach Windows and Doors showroom, big enough to spark ideas, small enough to feel right at home. It's time to step up your game and make your house the MVP of the neighborhood. Why live in the minor leagues when you can swing like $1 million? Peach Windows and Doors, because real homes play like champions. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 for your free consultation.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, crews are still dealing with a crash on the exit ramp from northbound I-215 to go onto I-80 heading eastbound. That's in Salt Lake City where we have the road construction going on. Main flow of northbound I-215 only down to 2 right lanes, and that is really causing people to slow down, especially as you take that I-80 ramp and then you've got a bunch of vehicles over on the right shoulder. You also still have delays coming out of I-80 westbound from Wyoming, heading toward the point of entry. We did have a rollover crash earlier this morning. The freeway was shut down, but they've reopened all the lanes now. It's just some residual delays trying to clear out. I-15 is finally at speed both directions, northbound and southbound, throughout Utah, Salt Lake, and Davis counties. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the strong winds are giving us a break finally, which is great news for firefighters. Today, the high in Salt Lake City will be 92 degrees, but then it heats up and we could be back to 100 by Wednesday. Right now it's 77 degrees and partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
As Utah students are starting to go back to school this week, Holly, a lot of our educators and a lot of our school districts are trying to deal with a problem that has been almost to the point of being chronic, and that is what we call chronic absenteeism.
Yeah, that's right. And that is where students are just not showing up for school, right? And it's one of the things that's really interesting to me as we are continuing our coverage of KSL in the classroom, and we've been talking about back to school. It's one of the issues that has stood out to me largely because it was a problem during the pandemic, and then it just never really recovered. And that statistic is actually quite interesting to me.
Yeah, so we're going to be joined this morning by State Superintendent Dr. Molly Hart to talk about this. Dr. Hart, thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
And what can you tell us about chronic absenteeism? Does it have a definition, or is it something that's just sort of self-defining?
Well, there is a definition. It means missing 10% or more of the school year, which is nearly a month of instruction for any reason, whether it's excused or unexcused.
So what are our numbers that we're looking at for students who are chronically absent right now?
Unfortunately, our current absenteeism rate is 23.8%. That, it's disappointing. It's very, very concerning.
What was the pre-pandemic level? Do you know?
It certainly wasn't that bad, but I do not have that number offhand. But like you mentioned, this hasn't, since the pandemic, it's 5 years, and we're not seeing that number bounce back.
Yeah, one of the numbers that we're looking at Dr. Hart, is that the pre-pandemic level was 12.9%. So you're right. It's about
there you go.
It's about double that now. What do you think happened? I mean, I can understand the pandemic having significantly lower numbers, but what happened since then that has caused students to not be as interested or not be as motivated to go back to school?
That is the $1 million question, and there's a lot packed in there. There's the fact that we put so much education, so much of the learning online, and students and parents may feel that they can just go online and get, quote, caught up, or families' priorities have shifted a little. They seem to be taking vacations more during the school year, and I believe probably with that same idea that we get back and we'll just catch up online, and the assignments are posted, or I'll get the assignments. Teachers also, in trying to be as flexible as possible and meet the students' needs, then get into the cycle where, the student comes back and you need to help them get caught back up. And then next time, student or parent thinks, well, they got caught up last time. They can get caught up this time. Or there's also concerns about students and their social development, and students are developing those relationships through other activities, extracurricular activities. So maybe they're not feeling like school attendance is the only place to get those needs met. The problem is that there's a lot to school that's not just the assignments in class. Building habits for success, learning to work together in groups, learning about how to handle social situations. There's a lot of ancillary learning that happens in schools that students are just not getting.
So, Dr. Hart, what is the state doing, or what are you planning to do to help address this chronic absenteeism?
Well, we have recently launched what we have termed the Everyday Counts campaign, and it's to raise awareness and remove some barriers and just get students attending school regularly. It includes a challenge to schools and districts, and some common language and some clear messaging, just putting some tools together for our schools to really get the message out that there's more to an education than assignments, and it's really important and valuable for students to have that experience present at school.
We're speaking this morning with State School Superintendent Dr. Molly Hart. Doctor, what do you tell parents, and I know you touched on this just a minute ago, who say what you described earlier, which is, hey, we've got this big trip planned, we're going to be gone for a while, we'll just get caught up. It's not that easy, is it?
No, it's not. And like, for instance, you take mathematics and you're gone for a week, and then you come back and you're trying to do work that's very dependent on the work that you learned last week. And so then you have a classroom where the differences in the students' learning are more exacerbated. The gaps are more pronounced. So you've got a teacher then managing students at different levels. It's just not that easy, and it's not. So much of people ask, parents aren't interested in straightforward, standardized, multiple choice, true false questions. They want our students to be able to, and their children to be able to do things, make presentations and participate in debates and work together with their peers on creating things, building robots, building, simulations in social studies. You can't do that when students aren't present. So there's so much more to learning besides doing an assignment and turning it in for a grade. And that I think is important to explain. Of course, going on on trips to see different parts of the world or, and spend time with family. It's important, absolutely. But at the same time, we have a job to do to get students ready for whatever their next step is, whether they're a third grader getting ready for fourth grade or they're a senior getting ready for whatever comes after graduation. We have a job to do, and we really need the students present in order to do it.
I have one really quick question as we wrap up. Are we experiencing a teacher shortage, or do we have trouble retaining teachers in Utah?
Oh, no, we do not. There was a time that we had a teacher retention issue, and we still, let me be clear, we have areas where there are hard to fill positions. But I recently was at a national conference, and one of our professionals were presenting on our teacher retention rate. We are retaining teachers at a 91% rate, and that is unheard of. And the other states that were present, there was a gasp in the room. I am so proud of our teachers and things that the board has done to make retaining teachers more of a reality and an easier path. Our teaching force is top notch. I just can't say enough about our teachers. They do an amazing job, and it is certainly worthwhile for the students to be in their classes.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Hart. And stick around for our listeners. We're going to talk more about teacher retention and one personal frustration I've been losing sleep over about my daughter's experience trying to become certified as a teacher. Stay with us. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Some things never change. Sure, we've expanded Inside Sources to 3 hours on KSL, and it's on 9 to noon. But the news, traffic reports, and weather updates that have been a part of your ride in the car since before you can remember, always there. And that will never change. Find us in your car at 102.7 FM.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value, completely free. StubbsDental.com.
Back to school means back to routine. But don't forget about the mess underfoot. Start this school year fresh with Zero-Res carpet and air duct cleaning. Did you know your carpets can trap up to 40 pounds of dust, dirt, and debris each year? Zero-Res uses patented technology to clean with no sticky soaps or harsh chemicals. Just patented ZR water for a deep clean that's safe for kids, pets, and your peace of mind. Your carpets dry fast, stay cleaner longer, and come with a 30-day gotta love it guarantee. Right now, get 3 rooms plus a free hallway for $119 and 15% off air duct cleaning. Schedule today at Zerores.com. That's Zerores.com. Spelled the same forward or backward. Zerores is the right way to clean. Zerores.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Ready to elevate your everyday? Quince has the Luxe Staples Insider Swear By, minus the markup. From 100% European linen styles and 14-karat gold jewelry to gorgeous leather bags and elevated home finds, Quince has it all. And by partnering directly with top artisans and ethical factories, Quince delivers premium quality at half the cost of similar brands. Discover everyday luxury without the markup at Quince. Go to quince.com/style upgrade for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/style upgrade.
Back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff, many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
So we're continuing our KSL in the Classroom coverage as we go back to school. And today, the Washington County School District was the first district to start classes. We'll have some that start tomorrow. A lot of them, including Alpine School District where we live, will start on Wednesday. And then next week, we will also have a bunch. But look, I have to share a frustration with you. My daughter has been working to become a teacher. And we have some really positive news we're going to talk about. But I have to share my frustration because it kept me up last night until like 1:30, and I get up super early to be on the show.
To be here, right.
And it's just so frustrating because here's the issue. She graduated from college with a degree in education, and she heard, it was BYU Hawaii, and she heard while she was there, look, it's easy to do student teaching in Utah and get certified as a teacher. So she's like, okay, I'll just go home, I'll do it there. And that was almost 2 years ago. And she is still not certified as a teacher. She's still in process. It's wildly frustrating to all of us. Maybe me more than her. I don't know. But, one of the things she told me, she said, Mom, it's supposed to be easy. I do these steps, and then they tell me, oh, that was not the right one. You shouldn't have done that. So she substitute taught for one full semester. She has been in the classroom as a teacher and student teacher for 2 full semesters. She's beginning a new school year tomorrow. Her students come back to school, and she just said, if I cannot get this to work out, I'm not even going to stay in the teaching profession. It's so frustrating.
Well, let's hope she stays with it and continues to persevere. But it's kind of a two-edged sword because in the past, we've had a dearth of good teachers. It's been hard to keep teachers here in Utah. It's been hard to keep good educators here. But Dr. Hart, who just talked to us in the last segment, said, no, Utah's doing really well. And one of the districts that's doing exceptionally well is Jordan School District, which has huge success keeping their teacher retention rate at 80 to 90%. This year alone, they're welcoming back 280 teachers. And we're joined this morning by Dr. Anthony Godfrey, Superintendent of Schools of the Jordan District. Dr. Godfrey, how are you doing such a good job keeping your teachers happy there?
Well, thank you. It's exciting to be talking with you today about teachers. We have so many great teachers to start with that they're wonderful colleagues that our new teachers get to work with, and we work really hard at making them feel welcome. So I think that's an important component of how we've been able to attract so many great candidates and wonderful teachers.
It's a story that makes me happy after I've just shared my frustration about my daughter trying to be certified as a teacher. Look, she made $22,000 last year. That's not sustainable. Anyway, so I saw this story about teachers, your 280 teachers being welcomed by other teachers. What was it, Friday maybe?
Friday.
So what is your message to those new teachers? Like, what are you doing to make them feel so welcome?
Well, first of all, it's that you are part of something when you come to Jordan School District. And I really want to talk with you. Let's talk about your daughter's experience, because I'd love to see if we can find a pathway forward for her. I really want everyone to feel welcome and a part of something. So we clap them in. We line the sidewalk as they come in. So there's energy from the start. But it goes well beyond that. There is a structure so that every week you have meaningful interactions with your colleagues to help make sure that you're working together to be at your best for students. And that's a really important part of being new at any job, that you feel part of a team and that you feel effective. But also, we want them to know right out of the chute how much we value the work that they do. Everything else that we do is in support of that interaction between teacher and student. That's the essence of what we do in Jordan School District and in education throughout the state. And I think emphasizing that and helping teachers feel that right from the start is really important. New teachers are also put into a program where they have support throughout the year, not just from their school, but they can be part of a cohort for new teachers. And we do a lot to try to support our experienced teachers as well. So they just need a lot of energy and support, not only just to know that they're valued, but also know that they have resources. They know where to go when they have an issue, when they have a question.
Dr. Godfrey, I know most of the teachers I've worked with and known over the years teach because of a labor of love and not necessarily to get rich. But the state of Utah has done a pretty good job recently of making teacher salaries better. Have you noticed a change with respect to the attitude and confidence level of your teachers, knowing that there's a little bit better pay than they had in the past?
Yes, you described it well. The pay is better. The pay is never what we want it to be. We always want to support our educators and all of our staff with better pay. But the legislature has stepped in. The governor has supported higher pay for teachers. Also, the Board of Education in Jordan and other boards of education throughout the state have emphasized that pay. So in many places and in Jordan District, starting salary is over $60,000, but it's also higher for experienced teachers as well. And you're able to have the same days off as your kids. You have the same breaks as your kids if they're attending in the same district. So pay has increased, but we also work to make sure it's an environment where teachers feel effective and supported, and that they're able to deal with the difficult aspects of the job that are inherent to the job. When you're working with students that you're trying to help improve, there are always difficult parts of it, but we want to be sure that it's very rewarding as well. And it's such an important job. We want to do everything we can to make it an attractive place for people to work.
Thank you for sharing that success story. I also want to ask, do you have a message to students and their parents as they get ready to go back to school? And I think you start next week. Is that right?
Yes, we start next week on the 20th. And what my message is really, if you need help, ask. Let us help. We have people in place to provide support. We have counselors at every level, school psychologists at every level, administrators and teachers who are ready to help. Just reach out and ask us. And if you don't get the help you need at the start, ask the principal and see what other resources might be available. And we try to keep the emails to a minimum at the start of the year. We try to keep the essential information. When we do send stuff out, take a close look, because we're really trying to connect everyone with the resources they'll need to have a successful school year.
Dr. Godfrey, in the last segment, I should say, we talked a little bit about this concept of chronic absenteeism. Is that something that you see more in now than you did in the past? And if so, what are you doing about it?
We're 5 years beyond COVID, and we still feel the impact of everything kind of feeling optional during COVID. I remember there were meetings that I used to go to, and then they were canceled, and then they were Zoom meetings, and then I had to go back in person. And you have to ask, you have to get back in that rhythm. And I know it's been 5 years, but our ideas about things changed. And it's important for us to continue to reach out as a district to families to be sure that we are creating a pathway that allows them to overcome any obstacles to attendance. Attendance is an issue. It's an issue in Jordan. It's an issue everywhere. We've seen numbers get a little bit better, and we're encouraged by that. Really, we want to have every student feel like they belong at school. And part of that sense of belonging is feeling like they're accomplishing things, that they're achieving things every day, that it's engaging, and that they're better because of the time that they spend at school. And I think we're accomplishing that, and I think we'll continue to build positive momentum, but it's always a worry. It's always a worry. If we don't have kids at school, then we can't teach them. So we do our best to support families in getting kids to school every day.
Thank you, Dr. Anthony Godfrey. That was Dr. Anthony Godfrey, Superintendent of Schools at Jordan School District. And Holly, I think your kid has some reason to be optimistic. That seems like their schools are looking for good teachers. Yeah, just stay with it. Don't let her give up. We need good teachers. When we come back, many of us have been complaining about the national debt. Well, now you can actually do something about it by sending money to the government on Venmo. That should work. We'll have more after that after the break.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/Drug Facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
10:30 KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. Another motorcyclist was killed in a crash over the weekend in South Jordan. Police are telling us this happened Saturday night on Redwood Road near 104th South. They say a car ran into the motorcycle when it was trying to turn into a parking lot. Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden says this has been a huge problem all over the state this year.
We have to work together for motorcyclists and for other motorists to work together to see a change in these type of fatalities.
Roden says this year is expected to be the deadliest for motorcyclists since 2010. South Jordan alone has seen at least 7 deadly motorcycle crashes this year. 1 person is dead and 11 are unaccounted for after an explosion at a steel manufacturing plant in Philadelphia. First responders are on the scene and will provide updates as we get them. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump is announcing a crackdown on crime and homelessness in Washington, D.C.
President Trump has accused crime in Washington of spiraling out of control. D.C.'s Mayor Muriel Bowser this weekend defending the work local officials have done to drive down crime, saying that she spoke with Trump about the issue.
The president is very aware of our efforts.
D.C. police data shows crime in the nation's capital is down 7% since last year, with violent crime dropping 26% and property crime down 5%.
ABC's Rachel Scott says hundreds of federal law enforcement officers arrived in the nation's capital over the weekend. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 28 points to 44,145. Coming up, another nice day before it gets even hotter. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Let's go check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, the crash on the West Side Belt has finally cleared. This was northbound I-215, right at the ramps that'll take you onto I-80, either to the airport or east toward I-15. That is gone now, but just be aware, we do have the new lane configurations on I-215. Both directions, you're down to just 2 right lanes, northbound and southbound, between North Temple and the 201 freeway. So from time to time, that will slow you down. You do have a bit of slowing southbound I-15 through from Kaysville into Farmington. That is due to lane restrictions. That happens every day. And then crews are still cleaning up a crash on I-80. This is westbound coming out of Wyoming. It's right near the port of entry, but it's no longer blocking any lanes of travel. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today is going to be the least hot of the next 5 days. We should see a high of 92 in Salt Lake City. Then it heats up. We could reach 100 degrees on Wednesday. The good news is for firefighters, the winds have calmed down. Right now, it is 79 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Our national debt, Holly, sits at just about $36 trillion. Now, that's 14 digits. It's not a million. It's not a billion. It's a trillion, which means that each family's share of that is $704,000. So if all of us could just pony up $704,000, we got this beat.
Each person who lives in the United States, is that what you're saying?
Each family.
Each family?
It's a little better than each person.
Well, then it's cheaper for me than it is for you.
Yeah, there you go.
It's crazy. But if you wanted to pay off the national debt, you could do it by Venmo. So, just send your $7,400 by Venmo.
$704,000.
Oh, $700,000.
Yes, right.
Oh, yeah, I have that laying around in my bank account. Sure. Look, this story it's really kind of funny. We're going to be taking live calls on our next segment, but you can text us right now at 57500. Would you pay down the national debt by using Venmo if you could?
No, I wouldn't. Well, I don't know. I mean, people are. We're joined this morning by Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News, who wrote an article about this. And Jay, I guess some people are taking this seriously.
Right. Well, you don't have to use Venmo. You can use Visa, MasterCard, Apple Pay. I mean, you don't have to have the money in your bank right now.
Oh, I don't have $700,000 on my credit card either.
What? So, I was on this show, I think it was last week, and I just sort of mentioned that I'd read that the government was now accepting Venmo for these payments. Then I started looking into it a little bit more, and it's fascinating. The government at pay.com, pay.gov, has given you the ability to just make random payments against the debt since 1999. And in that period of time, Americans have given $67.3 million. Now, this is above and beyond the taxes you're already paying. This is, you'd like to think it's just money that people don't need, but some people have been putting this in their will, that the government gets all their money. But to put this in perspective, that's not even it wouldn't even be considered a drop in the bucket. In fact, it's about 20 minutes of government spending.
And it's probably not even it's not even a percentage. It's not even 1% of 37 trillion. I mean, it's a very small number. I mean, you'd think $67 million, Jay, is significant, and it is. Don't get me wrong.
It's not.
But in terms of the national debt, it doesn't, like you say, it doesn't even put it.
Well, it would be significant if your listeners would give that much to me and put it in my bank account. I'd be
Right.
Absolutely. But this puts everything in perspective. I mean, Greg, when I was on the show last time, you were jokingly saying that, if only 1 trillion people could give $1 each, you know. But there are only a little bit over 8 billion people in the world right now. And if every man, woman, and child gave $1, it wouldn't even be 1% of $1 trillion. And we're talking about, as you said, 36 trillion, soon to be 37. I think it went up by over $700 billion in July alone. So that kind of puts it in perspective how much money the government owes.
Yeah, and trillionaires, we have zero.
We have zero. I looked it up. Nobody is worth $1 trillion. Elon Musk is worth somewhere between 400 and 500 billion, but nobody is worth $1 trillion. And there are only a handful of companies worldwide that are worth $1 trillion. And of course, they're trying to make money. They don't want to give their money to the national debt.
Right.
And I would think most people wouldn't do that, given how quickly the government overspends what it takes in.
What is it that about this? Why is the government doing this, or why are we suddenly aware of this Venmo for the national debt? I mean, is this something that the government, you think, Jay, is taking seriously and expecting people to pony up? I know you said it's been in its place for a while, but we seem to be hearing about it now.
Well, it was actually a reporter for NPR who broke the story that they're accepting Venmo payments, and we don't know when that first appeared on the website. It's probably been there for a few months, but this is kind of an indicator of how many people go to that website and are trying to give money. It seems and sounds absurd, but the government there must be people out there asking the government, hey, how can I help pay down the debt? And therefore they have this website. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, but they've had it for years.
Jay, let me ask you another question. I'm sorry to step on you, Holly, but why do you think, and this is maybe an unfair question, why don't we take this national debt more seriously? Because that number is so astronomical that the interest alone is probably burying us. I mean, do you know what I mean? It seems like Americans just think, even with this one big beautiful bill, that upped the ante
just
by
keep spending.
a $2 trillion all by itself.
Almost $3.
I think, yeah.
It would be so politically costly right now to do anything about it. George Will had a good column here recently, and he said there are 5 ways that we can tackle this problem, and none of them are really doable. I mean, because they would hurt so much. You can try to stimulate enough economic growth to take care of the debt. Well, that would be a heck of a lot of growth. You could default on the debts. And President Trump has actually talked about that in some interviews. Well, we'll give you 50 cents on a dollar for your bonds, you know. But you can imagine what that would do to the nation's reputation and to future investors.
Right.
You can just print more money, let inflation take care of it, which is kind of the same thing because you're telling bondholders, we're going to pay you back in money that's only worth about half of what you used to buy the bonds. We can cut a lot of programs, and nobody wants to do that. Or we can tax a lot higher than we are now, and nobody wants to do that. So we're kind of waiting for a crisis to hit, I think, before it becomes politically palatable to do something about it.
So one of the things that stuck out to me from your article is that Axios, you said, timed itself trying to make an informal trial Venmo payment. Do you want to just explain how much the national debt increased during that time?
Well, this was an Axios reporter, and they went through the whole process. Took 1 minute and 20 seconds. That's pretty fast. I don't think my fingers work that fast. But it was obviously a younger person. They got right to the point where all they had to do was hit submit. And like I said, it took 1 minute and 20 seconds, and they calculated that the debt increased by $4.4 million during that time.
That's
a lot. The Venmo option will only allow you to give up to 1 penny less than $1 million. So you go through this whole process, you're already in the hole by more than $3 million.
Yeah.
You just can't give enough to really catch up to it.
Yeah, and I don't see any of those options you just mentioned as being palatable. I mean, way to solve the debt crisis. I mean, we're not going to write it off or,
default
or file a bankruptcy or something. Not that would even be possible. But I don't know that there's a key to the end of this. To me, it seems, Jay, the way to solve this is one step at a time. Maybe agreeing that we don't increase the debt, and I know that I'm talking out of my head here, but and then agreeing to maybe knock it down 1% a year or something. I mean, there's got to be some way to start moving this debt.
Well, a lot of people think that in 2033, which is when the Social Security Trust Fund is supposed to start going bankrupt, that will force us to do something. But really, all Congress has to do there is pass a bill that says, oh, you can now take money from the general fund to pay for Social Security, and we'll just print more money to cover that. So I don't see that solving the problem either.
Probably not.
Will you stick with us? Because I've got some more questions, actually.
Absolutely. Love to.
Okay, great.
If you could chip in a few bucks via Venmo to pay down the national debt, would you do it? And why or why not? Give us a call at 801-575-TALK. That's 801-575-TALK, or text us at 57500. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by @YourServicePros. We'll be back.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
This week's movie show brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Schedule a hearing evaluation and be entered to win a set of premium hearing aids by tuning in Friday from 10 to 1.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home. You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Inside Sources.
So look, you can decrease the national debt by chipping in yourself through Venmo or Apple Pay, Visa, MasterCard. And we're taking live calls right now. We have Jerry on the line from Sandy. Jerry, would you use it?
Sure. The problem is most folks don't realize that right now it takes 4 months of what the Internal Revenue Service brings in just to pay the interest on the national debt.
Yeah, that's significant, Jay, and that's got to be something that's what we talk about when we talk about the national debt, and the fact that we're just not going to be able to make much more than a dent in it unless we do something much more serious than what we're doing now.
That's one of the biggest reasons why digital money is becoming so popular, because it's already reached a point of no return. For every $1 trillion that they add to the national debt, it adds another 2.5 weeks of income that this country brings in to pay just the interest.
Yeah, thank you for that, Jerry. We also have Daniel from Riverton on the line. What do you think about this issue, Daniel?
Yeah, thank you. I've been thinking about how it's not just the government's responsibility through taxes to pay for important programs. So if we kind of reframe the question and say, as an individual or as a company, are you willing to pay for things that are important to you, like helping Social Security, like helping people who are homeless, like helping people who don't have food, the things that the social or the government programs do? Am I individually willing to help with that? Then I think the question becomes a little easier to answer.
Thank you, Daniel. Jay, I think you struck a nerve. People are interested in this. People understand. We've got Jay Evenson with us, who's been talking about this national debt issue this morning. But people do take it seriously.
Oh, yes.
But recognize not the futility, but just the fact that the number is so big that what's it going to take to make a dent?
There's a feeling of helplessness. Your first caller was exactly right about the interest payments, which this year was somewhere between $800 billion and $900 billion, which is larger than our military budget. And next year, it's projected to be over $1 trillion.
Wow.
Just the interest.
Just the interest payment.
We're asking callers, if you want to call us, it's 801-575-TALK, or you can text us at 57500. We're asking if you would go as far as sending the government money through Venmo or other payment methods to help pay down the national debt. We've had a couple of callers, but we also have several texts, and they basically are saying the same thing. We need to have a lot of people do it, but we also need to have assurances from the federal government that they can get in control of their spending habits.
That's kind of the problem, is that people are happy to donate if they think it's going to make a difference, but they want some fiscal responsibility in Washington. And it seems no matter who we send back there used to be a pattern that in times of peace and times of plenty that the national, the deficit and the national debt would go down. And then in times of recession or war, that would go up out of necessity. But we haven't seen that the last decade or two. We've had pretty good economy, but things have just gotten worse and worse.
And when people think about the national debt, Jay, I don't know that a lot of us, including myself, recognize this seriousness of this. I mean, I guess there's going to be a point where we reach a tipping point where this debt becomes so overwhelming that we're going to get in trouble. I mean, do you think that could be on the horizon, or are we already in trouble?
A national debt is not necessarily a bad thing if your economy keeps growing larger and faster than the debt grows. But we're kind of inverted right now, where the debt is growing faster than the economy is. And the tipping point will come when investors, people who buy treasury bonds to fund that debt, begin to lose confidence in the nation's ability to repay. And they're going to start demanding higher interest rates, which is going to raise interest rates generally. And then the government will be tempted to print more money to inflate the dollar in order to pay back those debts. We haven't reached that point yet. Nobody knows where that point is. But it's kind of like we're on the Niagara River and there's signs saying, you better get out because there's falls ahead. And you can't hear the falls yet.
Right.
And you're thinking, what's all the hubbub?
That seems to be what people feel like in D.C. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of talk about balancing budget during campaign season, and then you get back there and the budget does not get balanced. So, again, we're asking for texts and calls. Would you go as far as sending the government money through Venmo to help pay down the national debt, and why or why not? That's 801-575-TALK, or you can text us 57500. We have two more texts. One says, under this administration, I would not. President Trump, quote unquote, saves money by firing people, closing departments, canceling funding for important services, and cutting Medicaid, while spending billions to take control of cities, colleges, networks, and even foreign countries. And another one says, until Congress is more responsible with their spending, no. All right, Jay, my question for you is this. Has there ever been any precedent where the United States has been able to pay off their debt?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It was in 1835.
That was a while ago.
Old Hickory, Andrew Jackson was elected president, and he hated debt. He was a frugal man, and he didn't believe that people should have debt. And so he did everything he could to pay it down, including selling off federal land. And we've heard of that fairly recently as an idea.
We did.
Well, it worked. He announced that the debt was retired in 1835, but the problem was that he set in motion a land bubble, a real estate bubble, by selling off all that federal land, and there was a lot of speculation, and there was a lot of irresponsible investing and that type of thing. Plus, he refused to recharter the national bank. It's led to reckless spending and borrowing, and by 1837, the nation was in a depression, and it had to begin borrowing again in order to help. So there was that one time, but since 1837, we've just gone on borrowing and borrowing.
Yeah, almost 100 years. Yep.
And we do have another caller from Saratoga Springs.
It's Greg. Welcome, Greg. We love that name.
Thank you very much. I love Saratoga Springs too.
What are your thoughts on paying the government?
More money, and I'm for it if they know how to use it. But I have a little leery giving them more money since they don't know how to manage what they've got. And the more you give them, the more they're going to spend.
Good point, Greg. Thank you so much for that call. I couldn't agree with you more. Jay, it seems like every time we have an election, our leaders are saying things like, we need to get control of the national debt. I'm going to do something about the national debt. It's not uncommon, but nothing seems to be happening. And I don't know whether it's a matter of impossibility, it's just not practical, or that we're not taking it as seriously as we should. And you mentioned a reason for that. When the economy's good, maybe it's not job one, but do you have a feeling just yourself as to why we don't do more about this?
Every single government program has a team of lobbyists, and it has an interest group behind it. And we saw this recently with the Medicaid cuts. Now, I'm not going to take a position on whether good or bad, but there were a lot of people with dire warnings, and they were marching and they were showing up at town hall meetings. you can imagine if you go in and you try to change Social Security, you're going to have a lot of the same. It takes political courage to move beyond that and to make difficult decisions. And the payoff just isn't there. I mean, you're going to get thrown out of office for doing it. So until we get to a point where people begin to understand that this is more important than what the special interests are saying, we're not going to really begin solving the problem.
So we've been speaking with Jay Evenson. He's the opinion editor for the Deseret News, talking about paying down national debt, and you can do it by using Venmo. We had a couple of texters actually tell us that they think that the expansion and the gold leafing that's happening in the White House, maybe there could be less of that and more spending on actual services that are needed. But one of the things that's interesting to me as we talk about this really is this idea that we keep talking about needing to balance the budget, but nobody will do it. And I will say this about Utah. Utah's legislature literally balances the budget every single year. And if budget changes, then they will go back and readdress it. Now, we're going to go back and revisit something we talked about at the top of the show, which is homelessness. So President Trump promised to rid D.C. of homelessness by moving people out of the city. But in Utah, we have people who are working on solving the problem here. And the Other Side Village is going to join us live in studio next. So stay with us on KSL News Radio. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
That was fun.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. President Trump has placed Washington, D.C. under federal control, deploying the National Guard to curb what he calls widespread violent crime. Trump says law enforcement will have free rein for the next 7 days.
And they're standing there and people are spitting in their face and they're not allowed to do anything. But now they are allowed to do whatever the hell they want.
Metropolitan Police Department data shows that overall crime in D.C. has actually decreased by 7% since last year, with violent crime down 26%. Delta says no one was injured after two jets made contact on the tarmac in Atlanta. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
Delta has had a rough stretch over the past 30 days, with a flight from Salt Lake City hitting turbulence and sending 25 people to the hospital. That was about 2 weeks ago. In this latest case, Delta tells CNN a flight was backing away from the gate in Atlanta when the wing hit an empty Delta plane.
All the passengers had to get off the flight and wait for another plane to take them to Guatemala. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 119 points. The S&P is up 3 points. And coming up back in the triple digits this week, KSL Weather's next KSL News Time, 11:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Here's Jason Jones.
And it looks like we're still dealing with this problem eastbound on I-80. Just before you get to 215, that accident is blocking the left lane and the shoulder there. Traffic has already stretched back to Bangerter Highway at this point, so it's going to take you a few extra minutes to get through there. Otherwise, I-15 itself, though, is looking pretty decent. If you're driving north or southbound all the way from Ogden down to Payson, you're really not going to encounter any problems at all. And the rest of your commute looking good on the side streets as well. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 92 with mostly clear skies today. Things warm up tomorrow and then jump to 100 on Wednesday before falling back down to the 90s again. Right now it is 81 and fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, where Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So I'm actually really excited to have this conversation. I have to say I've been a big fan of Joseph Grini ever since I heard him speak the first time. He reminded me of the energy that you had from Tom Cruise way back in the day when he jumped up on a couch to say how much he loved his latest love interest, right? Joseph kind of comes across that way to me, and maybe that's not fair to you, Joseph, but he's in studio with us. Tim Stay is also in studio with us, and they're going to introduce the Other Side Foundation and the Other Side Village.
Yeah, so welcome, and tell us, Joseph, just jump into it. Tell our listeners what the other side is.
Yeah, not doing a lot of jumping today, but yeah. So the Other Side Academy started 10 years ago this year, so we're fifth graders right now. Collectively, we have about 250 people living in between here and our Denver campus who have long histories of crime, addiction, and homelessness. So between them, they'd be incarcerated right now for about 2,500 years.
Oh, wow.
If they weren't at the academy. So they have a chance instead to come for free, live in a community that helps them learn to live in a healthy community again, and then go back out into society and get a job and be part of the world. So that's what happens at the Other Side Academy. Self-reliant, peer-run, and transformational.
So let's talk about the logistics of that, because I am an attorney. So how does a person who is facing criminal charges get into the other side as opposed to sitting in the Salt Lake County or another jail?
Yeah, so the most common story is that they've been rearrested. Our average student's been arrested 25 times. So they're back in jail,
Ouch.
up on new charges, and they'll write us a letter. And the letter will need to try to persuade the people in the house, because it's a peer community. They're trying to persuade their potential peers that they really want to change their lives. If the letter sounds decent enough, somebody will go to the jail and interview them, and then they're given a letter of acceptance if it looks like things are good. And they have to take that to the judge and the prosecutor, and if they agree, then they're allowed to come to the academy. And we've been around long enough now that judges and prosecutors, public defenders, they know this is a better route. If you've been arrested 25 times, the other thing isn't working.
Right.
So, Tim, can you tell us what your involvement is and maybe introduce the two of you?
Certainly. My name's Tim Stay, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Other Side Academy and the Other Side Village, and I help oversee the foundation that oversees both nonprofits. They're have different populations that they serve and different focuses, but at the core of both of them, that we have peer communities that transform lives in a self-reliant way. So operationally, we don't take money from the government. We run social enterprises inside our organizations so that they can pay the expenses to cover the expenses. And that allows us to do what's best for the people we're serving rather than what's required from us from funding sources.
We've found, I have found at least, that with groups like Drug Court, where peer involvement makes a huge difference. Tell our listeners what you mean by peer involvement.
Yeah, so we have people who are running our programs, who are doing the program part of our nonprofits, and people, we call them experts by experience, that they have turned their lives around. They've gone through that process. They know what it takes, and now they're our leaders and our staff, and they're overseeing those who are just starting their process. And we strongly believe in this concept of perceived similarity, that learning and hope of change happens better when I can perceive someone who's already changed and see that they've changed. Maybe I have a shot at changing. Most of our people that come in, both at the village and at the academy, have just lost hope. Hey, I've tried this 25 times. I've been to multiple programs. It always ends the same. I can't change. This is just the way I am. But by seeing people who have done it, who were like them, who understand what their lives were, all the terrible things that happened to them, it's really magic to see that them start to get that hope and that belief that I can change too.
Can I ask you just one more question about the Other Side Academy? What does that program look like? Is it multiple months? Is it like everybody has to follow the same kind of steps? What does that look like?
So it's a minimum 2.5-year commitment.
Oh, wow.
And for a lot of people, they say, oh, wow. Because what we're used to is hearing about a 30, 60, or 90-day drug rehab. But let's just be honest with each other for a minute. If you've been shooting heroin for 20 years, the idea that 30 days is going to make any difference in your life is ludicrous.
You are so right. You are so right.
You've seen it.
Yep,
You've seen it.
Absolutely.
And so the reason that model exists is not because it's therapeutically sound. It's because it's based on a funding model. The market is charging what mom and dad can afford. They can go get a mortgage for $40,000 or $50,000 on their house, so they're going to pay for a 30-day rehab, and it doesn't work. The long-term sobriety rates for that kind of a model, at least for people who have been long-time addicts, is probably 5%.
Wow.
So it's worse than a sugar pill, but at least it's more expensive.
So when you say 2.5 years, tell us what that looks like. Is that in the facility, in and out? Is there some combination of that?
Yeah, no, I said a minimum 2.5 years too, so they'll commit to that, but many choose to stay longer, which is remarkable. And so what it looks like is full residential. So our campus is at 7th East and 1st South in Salt Lake City. People will come and they live there in the midst of this community, exactly as Tim said, around people who have done it themselves. So they're around others. And the challenge with all of our students, most of them had terribly broken lives from the beginning. And so it's sort of understandable where they landed. But there's always a line between tragedy and agency. There's a line where you actually start making choices, and it's not just about what happened to you, it's about the things that you're doing because of what happened to you too. And no one can help you find that line where you actually have choice, where you're responsible, where you need to just suck it up and do something hard better than somebody who's done it themselves. So that's what's happening. 24 hours a day, they're living on this campus, they're out working in the social enterprises, they're getting feedback from their peers, and they're learning to be a decent human being.
So, Tim, what is your recidivism rate with this academy?
So we've tracked everyone who's graduated, who's gone through the program, graduated over the last 10 years, and Those who've returned to crime is 12%.
Wow.
And
Which
so
is
88%.
a fraction.
Yeah.
A small fraction.
The normal
Right.
is 60 to 70% of people who come out of prison, whether they go through a program or not.
Right. Those are remarkable numbers. Those are very good numbers.
So you mentioned a couple of times the social enterprise. Can you just kind of give our listeners an overview of some of the other things, and we'll be able to talk in the next segment about the village.
Oh yeah, this is the free commercial time. We're going to take it. So, for the Other Side Academy has 4. So there's the Other Side Builders, top-rated remodel jobs, construction work. The Other Side Thrift Boutiques. There are tens of thousands of loyal fans of those. The Other Side Movers, the #1 rated moving company in the entire state, and then the Other Side Storage, so an internal storage business. And then when we move to the village, we're going to talk about things like the Other Side Donuts, which will be fun.
There you go.
That sounds awesome. Have you ever had Other Side Donuts?
I have not.
I haven't, but you bring donuts every day. You need to go there.
Where do we find them?
7th East and 1st South. We
There
have a
you go.
pickup spot there.
And we have a store on 760 South Redwood Road.
It's on my way.
Your life begins today.
There you go. There you go.
So we're going to continue this conversation with Joseph Gurney and Tim Stay from the Other Side Village. That's coming up next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. Just stay with us because this is a fun conversation. We're going
And we need
keep
you
going.
two to stick around for one more segment.
Yeah,
Would
don't
that be
hop
all
up
right?
and leave. That'd be
Absolutely.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
19 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with a sun protection factor, or SPF, of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. UVA rays age the skin, UVB rays burn, and both cause cancer. But the perfect sunscreen doesn't count if you use it wrong. Don't need sunscreen on a cloudy day? Wrong. 80% of UV rays still get through the haze. Only use sunscreen at the beach? Nope. Anytime you're outside, UV rays attack the skin, so you need protection. And you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs Dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value completely free. StubbsDental.com.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s,
affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
It's been a long, hot summer here in Utah, and let's be honest, many yards and gardens are looking a little tired. But good news, as the nights start to cool, now is the perfect time to revive your yard. Yes, it's time to get our outdoor spaces ready for back to school and all your favorite fall activities. At Olson's Greenhouse, we're bringing in fresh shipments every week of vibrant garden mums and beautiful fall bedding plants to help you refresh your outdoor spaces. Cooler nights and warm soil create the ideal conditions for planting, and your perennials will thank you next spring. So whether you're sprucing up the porch, replanting your flower beds, or decorating for harvest season, Olson's Greenhouse has everything you need to make your garden thrive again. To find a retailer of Olson's plants near you, visit ogg.com for Olson's Greenhouse Gardens. That's ogg.com, or find ideas and inspiration on Instagram at Olson's Greenhouse Gardens.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings, or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
Right now at SNS Roofing, get $1,000 off any roof replacement. Plus, you'll get their incredible 50-year worry-free warranty. Dial pound 250 and then say the keyword SNS Roofing for a free bid.
Inside Sources.
We're joined again by Joseph Grenny and Tim Stay from the Other Side Academy, and they kindly agreed to stay with us and talk about the Other Side Village, which I think is really topical because we started the program today talking about what was happening in Washington, D.C., and the president announcing taking over what was going on there and basically saying we're going to get the homeless population out of here. It's not quite that easy, is it?
Not really. Yeah, there's the system is really broken. And the system is broken because it's exactly what nobody would ever want to go into a market with. So if you went out to buy a car today, you wouldn't buy a carburetor and a car seat and then a bumper and a hood, and you wouldn't do that. You want a complete car that works. The problem with our homeless system right now is it's segmented. The state pays for somebody to do warming shelters, somebody to do mental health services, somebody to do transitional housing. And it doesn't work because everybody's doing a great job doing those pieces, but nobody's solving the real problem, which is taking somebody off the street and moving them all the way to PSDC, to permanently housed, self-reliant, drug-free, and crime-free. That's how the system needs to be reshaped. If the state will stop funding these individual segments, stop buying bumpers and carburetors and start buying cars, if it will start legislation that just says we're only going to work with super providers that take someone all the way from the street to permanently housed, self-reliant, drug-free, and crime-free, things will fundamentally change, and that's what's broken right now. That's what we're trying to do with the village.
So, Tim, can you tell us a little bit more about the village? Is this the setup with tiny homes? Am I remembering this correctly or not even?
Yeah, so we've been talking the first segment about the Other Side Academy, which is focused on those who have been persistent reoffenders going through the system of criminal behavior, drug addiction. We found that we weren't serving one section, those who are chronically homeless and with mental health. And every city is challenged about how do we help this population. It's a really difficult, complex series of problems. And we decided to start the Other Side we started the Other Side Academy to help those with these persistent criminal behaviors. And then we said, let's start the Other Side Village to help those who are chronically homeless. These are people who have been homeless for a long period of time. And so they're different populations, even though they have some common features. But what we found is the things that worked at the academy also work with this population for the village. So we're looking for people who are chronically homeless. You'll pass them on the streets. They're on the street corners. They're in the shelters. They're in the encampments. We'll bring them in. will help them go through a transitional program from 6 to 12 months, helping them learn the life skills that they need to live independently. And once they're in, qualify, and again, it's a peer community with people who've been homeless, who've now turned their lives around, helping be their coaches and the staff, they get a chance then to qualify to move into the village, which right now will have 60 small cottage homes, about 350 square feet, and they'll be able to live there the rest of their life if they want to, in a supportive community. And eventually we're going to have over close to 500 homes on that site. And it's here in Salt Lake, and we can talk more about that.
It's interesting you mentioned mental health as a component of homelessness. Not that it applies to everyone, but that's a significant thing that you all have to address when you're dealing with people in the village that maybe is a little bit different than the addiction end of it. But there is a mental health component to this as well. It's not just like let's set them up in a house and moving on, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the peer model works so well for that too. So if you have schizophrenia, that's real. I mean, you've got voices in your head, you've got persistent challenges that none of the rest of us can properly appreciate. So who's going to be the best person to help you figure out how to manage your life better with schizophrenia? It's going to be somebody who has schizophrenia, somebody who's figured out how to do that. And that's what the village is. It's a peer community that understands how to deal with mental health because it's got folks that have figured out how to deal with mental health. And again, who's going to be more persuasive, challenging you to do the hard work of figuring out how to live life differently better than somebody who's done it themselves? They got the moral right to sometimes kind of raise their voice with you, hold you accountable, challenge you a little bit, and then be sympathetic and supportive when that's needed too. And so this peer community concept for mental health support is a powerful piece of what makes the Other Side Village work.
So just let me ask you a logistics question. So when we've talked about homelessness on the show before, we've talked about wraparound services. So basically a one-stop shop, right? We're trying to make sure that people have housing, but we're moving away from the Housing First initiative, which, you know, the state tried, the nation tried for a while, but we're trying to have this all-encompassing approach. If you have the Other Side Village and we're talking about wraparound services, are there therapists on site? Are there, like, what's available for the residents who will live there?
Yeah, so first let me address the term wraparound services. That term was invented to apologize for how bureaucracies fail at solving problems. It's basically saying we have a disaggregated system that's too dizzyingly complex for somebody who's homeless to ever navigate it effectively. And so how are we going to solve it? We're not going to change the system. We're just going to appoint somebody to try to stitch all of that together. Well, the case managers that are today working in wraparound services have an average tenure of about 6 months. They don't even get the system. And so rather than blowing up the system, we're trying to put a Band-Aid on it, and it's fundamentally flawed. What we need is for the state to stop doing wraparound services, stop allowing people to solve segments of the problem, and start saying we're only going to work with providers who take you all the way from the street. You don't need wraparound anymore. They're going to hold your hand from the beginning all the way until you're permanently housed, self-reliant, drug-free, and crime-free. That's the change that we need. And what's working at the village is people come in and we don't have specialists that deal with individual pieces. You've got a team around you constantly that is helping you solve the whole problem.
We're joined this morning by Joseph Graney and Tim Stay from the Other Side Academy and the Other Side Village. Tim, let me ask you a question. When you talk about the academy, you talk about treatment for substance abuse offenders or that type of thing. It can often be ordered by a court or a condition of probation or something there where a person is like, hey, I need some help. I want to get something out of this. How do people find out about the village? How do you get people to get involved with that?
We have a recruitment team, and this recruitment team, led by Mo Egan and Tiffany, will go out into the encampments. They'll sponsor barbecues at the parks. They'll every other week we have a meet and greet at the library where people that they've met on the streets can come and learn about the village. And at the meet and greet, they have an opportunity to understand what will be required of them and what will be required to be able to move forward. If they're in agreement and they meet the qualifications, which include that they need to be from the Utah area and they've been homeless for long enough, then the income requirements, then they can come and start to test if they like the village. They'll go into an immersion program for 1 or 2 days, and if the community and they feel like this is the right step forward, then they're invited into the village.
And when you talk about they, are you talking about men, women, children, all of the above? Are families welcome?
We're focused on single adults with mental health challenges who are homeless.
Then you can focus more
directly. The same model would work for a family-oriented
right? Yeah,
structure,
absolutely.
too. Yeah.
So, how does this touch on the Trump executive order from a week or two ago, where he said we want to push funding down to the states, we want to be able to have more civil commitment happen? How does this tie in?
So one of the elements that's required if we really want to make a dent in chronic homelessness is motivational accountability. And we call it that because there needs to be enforcement of laws. And part of the reason is because the society deserves a civil and clean place, but part of it also is that when you're held accountable, it can motivate you to change. If you go to the academy today and you ask people how many came because they suddenly reached enlightenment and decided they wanted a better life, nobody's going to raise their hand. They came because the alternatives were worse than the effort of changing your life. None of us really change until pain gets big enough that the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of changing. And that's the same with chronic homelessness. Our average person at the village has been homeless for 8 years. It's a lifestyle at that point. You've learned to manage things a certain way, and it's really, really hard to change. And so one of the ways that people can be nudged towards changing is losing their stuff because they get chased out of an encampment a few times, being incarcerated a few times. And I'm not saying that mercilessly. I'm saying that because they're actually human beings like you and me. They're actually human beings that need tough feedback and accountability in order to make fundamental change. I'm a better dad today because I've gotten harsh feedback from my kids about the kind of stupid things that I was doing in the past.
Right.
And that's how human beings grow. So motivational accountability is an important part of the formula.
So if our listeners want to learn more about the Other Side Village or the foundation, where can they go for that information?
TheOtherSideVillage.com, Facebook, Instagram,
Great.
and all the other social medias. And we would love to have anyone really interested reach out, and we can arrange a tour. And we're looking to fund the next phase, the additional 400 homes that we're going to put on the site. And so we love anyone who says, here's a program that's working, really doing something about changing. And we call our approach human first rather than housing first.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Really, thank you so much. Good luck to you both.
Thank you.
So, Greg, BYU will acquire the late Senator Orrin Hatch's papers collection. There's like 3,000 boxes. We'll discuss why this is such a big deal after the break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. The man accused of faking his own death and moving to Europe to avoid rape charges in Utah is back in court today for the opening of his Salt Lake County trial. Nicholas Rossi is expected to stand trial for a separate rape charge in Utah County next month. Our top national story this hour from ABC News, President Trump ordering a crackdown on crime in the nation's capital. The president today used his power to take temporary control of D.C.'s police department and send in the National Guard. Official D.C. police data shows violent crime is actually down year to date. Utahns generally feel positive about where the state's economy is going, but less optimistic about the country's.
Utah is performing above the national level for GDP, holding the #1 spot above other states from the last 10 years. In a poll conducted by the Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute, they found over half of Utahns feel the state's economy is going in a positive direction. When asked about the country, though, only about 49% feel the same.
That's KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow starting off with a bit in the red. It's down about 149 points right now. S&P 500 and NASDAQ are both ever so slightly in the green. Coming up, enjoy the break while it lasts. We got 100 degrees in the 7-day forecast. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hey guys, it's Woodrow from Mint Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with ED? Well, you are not alone, and now there's a real solution that treats the root cause, not just the symptoms. Introducing our Trifecta approach, a breakthrough combination of acoustic wave therapy, hormone replacement, and cryotherapy, all designed to restore blood flow, boost performance, and rebalance your hormones. Whether it's ED or hormonal imbalance, if you're ready to reignite your love life, this treatment helps bring back your energy, your drive, and your confidence. And right now, when you call, you'll receive a free consultation, a blood flow ultrasound, and an intimacy gift. That's a $650 value, absolutely free. And here's the bonus. The next 20 callers will also receive a 5-night stay at a luxury resort in Hawaii just for taking the first step. But you must call now. With 2 convenient locations in Layton and Sandy, help is closer than you think. Call 801-804-8000 now. That's 801-804-8000. Mint Medical Clinic. We'll get you back to mint condition.
Andy, my husband and I had Bedrock Quartz redo 3 bathrooms for us, 2 in the old house and 1 in the new house. And I loved working with them for so many reasons. One of which is that they're like a 4-generation family-owned business here in Utah that has been installing countertops and making beautiful kitchens and bathrooms for years and years.
Well, at my house, I suffer from what's called paralysis of choice. When you've got something as wide-ranging with the different types of counters that they offer with quartz, quartzite, like I didn't even know what the difference between those things are. I'm going to need that kind of help when I go through the process.
Oh, they have wonderful designers. Plus, when you go in their showrooms, it's super easy. At station number 1, you select your color and your material. Then you go to station number 2. And you pick out your backsplash, and then you go to number 3, and you select your faucets. It's so easy to do.
They've got what's called employee pricing for everyone. This is the first time they've ever offered this.
For the month of July through August, everyone gets the friends and family discount.
They've got 9 locations near you from Layton to St. George, including a new one in Salt Lake City. BedrockQuartz.com. That's BedrockQuartz.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Jason Jones.
Well, still seeing this problem eastbound on the I-80. Doesn't look like it's getting too much better. In fact, it's slowing traffic on the westbound side now as well. Got a truck that's basically up on top of the barrier, UHP on both shoulders, and there's some cars over on the right shoulder as well. The left lane remains blocked, and the delays stretch back to Bangerter Highway. If it were another time of day, this would probably be emergency traffic, but because it's just in the 11 o'clock hour, probably only going to take you an extra 15 to 20 minutes to get through there, but you might want to use Bangerter Highway down to 201 as an alternate if you want to get someplace faster. That'll help. Common Spirit Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Sunny with a high of 92 today, heating up tomorrow to 96, then a chance for triple-digit highs on Wednesday. Right now, you've got sunny skies, 81 degrees. Pretty dang pleasant out there. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Holly, you and I had an absolutely wonderful evening at the Grand America last week for the Orrin Hatch Foundation and the Titan of Public Service Award Gala. It was really, I mean, even for a Democrat, I thought it was interesting. There's sure a lot of Republicans there. But it was really a wonderful evening, and one of the things that came out of it was these papers that Senator Hatch had kept. And, of course, he was a senator for some 42 years. So he'd gathered some papers, some 3,000 boxes that have now been donated to BYU, which I thought was an incredibly generous gesture on the foundation's part.
Yeah, it's really a big deal, and you can look at it from an academic perspective. Like when I did my PhD, I was in the library a lot. Although I will be honest, I transitioned to digital copies of books and stuff, right? So it wasn't physically sitting there, but one of the things that papers like this can do, I will guarantee you that multiple PhD dissertations will come out of these papers. People will take a look at those and dive in and say, well, what was he thinking in, 1976, whatever it was when he got elected the first time.
And certainly some legislation. I mean, wouldn't it be, even for geeks like like me, if I could just spend a day there in the room with those boxes, and just start going through some things, so there's got to be something there that would be just fascinating. Maybe more than just a few things, but I mean, I know it's a needle in a haystack with 3,000 boxes, but you could go back to certain years or certain times in our country, certain things that were going on, legislation that he was involved in, and go to that year and that segment and say, what was happening? What were we doing? Why did Senator Hatch want to promote that specific legislation, and who was on board with him at the time? And you'd get the insight. You'd get so much insight as to what was happening.
Yeah, for Senator Orrin Hatch, and he passed away in 2022, about 2 years after he finished his service in the Senate. But one of the things that really makes him, I think, notable is that he passed more legislation than any other living senator. So he passed 750 pieces of legislation. And he was known for being bipartisan, right? He did a lot of work with Ed Kennedy. They disagreed on a lot, but they could work together on the issues where they found that. And we're seeing that less and less and less in D.C. right now, right?
Yeah, and we actually had one of the foundation's leaders with us last week who talked
Matt
about
Sandgren.
What would Senator Hatch say if he was around today about what's going on? And he wasn't very flattering because it wasn't a partisan thing at all. He was saying that's just kind of what's happening right now. What do you think this means for BYU? I mean, how big of an event is this for BYU?
Well, president of BYU, Shane Reese, was there to actually make the announcement. And he said that they were just delighted. He called Orrin Hatch one of BYU's most distinguished alumni. So Orrin Hatch was the student body president before my time, before I was even born, in 1958. So he was student body president at BYU, right? So there's that. But he also said Senator Hatch was a champion of civil dialogue and constitutional government, values that align with the principles we uphold at Brigham Young University. And he said this effort will not only enrich the academic research, but will also inspire the next generation of principled leaders. And that's a legacy worthy of Senator Hatch and one BYU is proud to help carry forward.
Yeah, and I think that after 42 years of service in the Senate, that Senator Hatch must have generated things that a lot of us don't even appreciate.
Well, and remember, I mean, he was there way before the internet for a lot of his service.
So those papers are meaningful because it's his writing, it's his thoughts, it's what was happening at the time.
Yeah, and if you're saving that information, look, I only helped pass. Well, that's not true. I was going to say I only helped pass one bill. That's not true. I've actually worked on other bills. But I actually have a box full of papers, and it was different versions of the bill and different people that we had talked to, right? And I have it in a box. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I wonder if they'll digitize all of this. I would suspect that will be a project that BYU will undertake to digitize all 3,000 boxes of these papers.
It would certainly give academicians an easier access to it,
yes.
and rather than just tearing through boxes. I mean, we saw a picture of a forklift picking up a pallet full of boxes.
Yeah, right. And it's not only his academic. On the academic track, it's not only his papers for passing legislation, but some of his personal papers as well, right? So he was still raising his family when he first went back there, and just imagine all of the different changes that the world went through in the 42 years that he was back there in the Senate.
You have to hand it to Hatch himself that he would have archived these, that he would have kept things over the
from
years.
The very beginning.
I mean, because you think about just what you've done over the last 42 years, how much of it do you have in boxes and storage? Of course, nobody cares what I've done for the last 42 years.
Pictures.
But with Senator Hatch, this was nationally historic times and events and things that he was doing, and to document those, it's akin to the founding fathers having kept some documents and some things like that. You know what I mean?
And presidential libraries.
Just the modern times and what happened. I mean, he was such a significant Utah and American, having served so long in the Senate.
Yeah, he was a fixture for sure. So people called him the most effective senator. They also called him the Lion of the Senate. And if you remember, he had a run for the presidency. It didn't end up lasting very long, but he put his name in the hat to run for president. I can't remember what year that was. 2000 maybe?
I don't remember that at all. But yeah, I mean, I remember Democrats lining up agained him every 6 years and watching what they would do and down the hatch and let's do this and let's do that. And then, boy, they'd come out of the chute pretty effective, and I can remember some of the names, I won't mention them, of pretty prominent Democrats who thought, let's give this man his goodbye, and he's been on the Senate long enough. It's time to move on. But he never seemed to have a problem.
Well, in full disclosure, I helped on the campaign for the Republican who pushed him to his first primary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was before his, it was 2012, the 2012 election cycle. And we were not successful, clearly. So we were, in fact, just as unsuccessful as the Democrats were, because he was so well respected and well liked as somebody who was really effective.
You know, I remember thinking that he was a Pennsylvanian and coming to Utah and kind of wondering what his ties were to Utah, but he was class president of BYU, or he was a student body president of BYU.
Yeah,
he attended the Y.
That's right.
Got his degree there, and so
and then he went to law school.
Significant
elsewhere,
Utah ties.
Yeah, so a big donation to Brigham Young University, and it is those 3,000 plus boxes of documents from a 42-year career back in the Senate. It'll be really interesting to me to see like where those are accessible. So it's for students and for researchers, right? I don't know if they're going to have them in their reserve library where you have to like make a reservation to go and see things if you've got to wear like the gloves on your hands so you don't get body oils on some of these documents. But again, my suspicion is that they're really going to think about digitizing these. Because just think of all the other things that have been digitized. Sometimes it takes a really long time, but we've gone through all kinds of papers that are now accessible online.
We're talking about the papers that Senator Hatch's people have donated to Brigham Young University, representing his more than 4 decades of public service, beginning in 1977. Again, you mentioned this earlier, but he passed more pieces of legislation than any member of Congress, totaling over 750 bills, receiving in his final term in the office the title of the most effective member of the Senate.
Look, I do have to mention a couple pieces of legislation. He was really instrumental in passing the Americans with Disabilities Act that we've talked about on this show, and we've also talked about the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. He was instrumental in getting those passed.
And he was also instrumental in doing a lot of bipartisan legislation and work. I mean, he and Senator Kennedy, although they couldn't have had much in common,
but
certainly had the
they
nation's best
together.
interest in common,
Yeah,
and they both did
together.
a very, very good job.
Yeah, they did, and both of their foundations work together now too.
Okay, this one, to pivot after the break, we're going to come back and talk about what's playing in movie theaters right now. 73 minutes of cat videos. Would you go see it for a good cause?
I would.
Not me. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. For many Utah students, a pair of glasses can be key to learning, confidence, and success. But access to vision care is increasingly out of reach for thousands of families. That's where Friends for Sight steps in. Development Director Julia DeLu joins us with more.
At Friends for Sight, we believe vision care isn't a luxury, it's a basic need. Our mission is to break down barriers so every Utah can see clearly and thrive. We do this through free vision clinics, school and community screenings, and our signature pop-up event, SightFest. Here's the reality. 70% of Utah students who fail a vision screening never get the glasses they need. That's tens of thousands of kids. That's why SightFest matters. In just one day, we turn a school gym into a full-service eye clinic. Volunteer doctors and staff provide eye exams and fit over 100 students with their first pair of glasses, delivered to their school within weeks. What's really great is that we're ready to double the number of SightFests across Utah. But we can't do it alone. If you want to get involved, a $50 donation gives a child glasses, or sponsor an entire SightFest to help transform a school community.
Friends for Sight is making a big impact in making vision care more accessible for Utahns, and with your support, they can do more. Visit friendsforsight.org to learn more and see how you can get involved. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Come on, the meeting's already started.
Sometimes it's important.
Last call, boarding gate number 9.
Sometimes it's urgent.
Trip for Aurora.
Sometimes it's vital. Hospital treatment within 1 hour of a stroke can prevent lifelong disability. If you notice someone experiencing sudden weakness on one side or having a problem speaking, walking, or seeing, call 911 fast. Stroke. Know the signs. Act in time. A message from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke.
Inside Sources.
Okay, Holly, I'm going to need a little bit of help with this one. But there's a new feature coming out to the movies this next weekend called Cat Video Fest. It's a 73-minute G-rated selection of all things feline. And it's going to be playing in 500 independent theaters in the U.S. and Canada, probably for a day. And when people... Maybe not. Maybe I'm just not the cat person that some people think I should be. But I don't know. Would you pay money to go watch?
Well, yeah, I would. So look, here's what's interesting about this story to me. I love cat videos. I think they're really fun. So if I feel really stressed out about the news, I literally will look at cat and dog videos because they're fun. So they're like on Instagram or whatever. You can find cat videos where they're like scared of cucumbers, right? I don't know why their cats are scared of cucumbers.
It is kind of a weird phenomenon. I don't understand cats myself, but being afraid of cucumbers. 73 minutes, I don't know, it's a bit much. You know, I've never been a cat fan, but we actually have a cat, and she was given to us by my stepson who went away to college, and she won't leave me alone. She just rubs on me all the time, and finally she gets to the point where she'll bite me, and my wife is like, that just means she really likes you.
She
but
wants
it
attention.
hurts. I don't like getting bit by this cat, but she won't leave me alone. Every time I sit down, she's all over me.
So cat videos. Look, I totally would pay, and so we're a little bit behind the times talking about this. So it was actually last weekend where they showed it, so we've already missed it maybe. But I would pay, and the person who puts it together, he literally, like his business card says, I watch cat videos, and he watches thousands of hours of cat videos to put together this longer form. It's not even an hour and a half. It's just barely over an hour, right? But since 2019, he's raised over $1 million for cat-focused charities. So it's kind of a serious topic on a really fun video.
So this weekend, if you're bored...
Oh my gosh!
I don't even know if that's real, but that sounds like my cat. 73 minutes of that. I don't know. I could see a lot of people just being mesmerized by it or hypnotized. Might actually be kind of interesting.
He does say he has all kinds of different compilations. It's not just cats jumping into a bathtub and being surprised that there's water in it, although that's funny as well. And cats trying to swing from the ceiling fan. Look, I'm telling you, it's a good way to get an endorphin boost. So just watching cat videos.
It might be one of those things that if you're just stressed out of your head and you just want to just go into zombie land for 73 minutes, just watch cat videos.
I probably have scrolled cat videos for 73 minutes.
I know.
To be honest.
What is that? Instagram or TikTok or something? People watch cat and dog videos all the time. I see those. I don't watch them because I don't have either of those apps. But people are interested in it.
Okay, there's another thing that happened over the weekend, and this was the world's ugliest dog contest held at the Sonoma County Fair in Santa Rosa, California. And there's pictures. I'm looking at an AP story. Of course, it's mostly photos. They are not joking about these poor dogs.
I know. How would you like to own the world's ugliest dog?
I think they would like to because people enter the contest and there's money involved.
You can probably get some money.
$5,000, man, if you win the prize.
That's too bad. Go get your dog some teeth or something.
Well, so speaking of ugly pets, speaking of the cat video, Utah has done some things in the film world. And they're expanding 6 new productions that are approved for filming here. What kind of movies do you think Utah is known for? Like, I don't even know the answer, but.
Well, we have the scenery. We have the Old West scenery. And so it's not difficult to imagine Westerns being filmed in Utah. It's also not far-fetched to think of films like, on another planet. Because you can go into the Utah desert and you can imagine that's probably what Mars looks like. That's
I've
probably
seen
what
those
the moon's
landscape
like.
hints. Says, I know where that is in Utah.
Right, we know what they are. But I also think some of the old Westerns were filmed in Utah.
For
just because
sure.
of
I think that's how I started, the Westerns. Yeah, you can see that down in Kanab. But one of the things that's interesting to me is that downtown Salt Lake City, I know, has been used multiple times for like rom-coms. Like they'll do like the Christmas movies, right? They'll film the Hallmark type Christmas movies in like July. And so you've got fake snow and stuff, but you're using downtown houses and the environment and stuff. And it's like, oh, I know where that is.
Wasn't Footloose filmed in Utah?
Yeah.
One of the famous, at Lehigh High School or one of those schools.
It's down there by the Lehigh Roller Mills.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yep. So
successful movie filmed in Utah.
So there's
still watched.
There's 6 more coming that will generate $7.1 million and create over 400 jobs statewide. One of them does include a horror movie, which I never watch. And then there's something from the Discovery Channel, which is super interesting, Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch. That's a Discovery Channel series. And it's being filmed in Uinta County. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Bringing stuff to Utah. Way to go.
Okay, what do you have for us today?
All right, fun facts of the day. Okay, so this is really pertinent to Utah. Today is Mountains Day. It's a national holiday. It's a national day of, right? It's not recognized as a federal holiday, but Mountains Day. And I mentioned earlier on the show that I actually finally got up into the mountains. It is the first time this year, and we are into August, and I finally made it up into American Fork Canyon, which is 5 minutes from my house.
Yeah, we got up in the mountains yesterday up by Monte Cristo and just took the dogs and walked around, and it was absolutely beautiful. What I love about Utah is, Mountains Day and Desert Day. You can go in between, and they're both just incredible. They're both just something we have here in Utah that I don't know that many other states enjoy.
There's something, when I was doing research for my dissertation, actually, I was really researching burnout, especially on volunteers. But one of the things that was interesting to me is that when people talk about what they do for their mental health, there was research into what people call forest bathing. And that was something that started in Japan. And basically is just putting yourself into the forest and letting yourself be surrounded by nature. There is something really special about that, right? And I think every once in a while we'll joke about like, I need vitamin C, but they spell it SEA, like I need to go to the ocean.
Right.
But there is academic research now that says there is something really beneficial to our hearts, minds, brains if we go spend time in nature. And part of it, I am pretty sure, is disconnecting from our electronics for
And you
a
think
little
about
while.
our mountains in the winter
Yeah.
with the snow and the skiing. I mean, they're international treasure.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Now I have dates for you. Okay. On this day, August 11th, 1965, the Watts Rebellion began. It was 5 days of violence in California. It left 34 people dead, 1,032 people injured, 4,000 people arrested, and $40 million worth of property destroyed.
1965. Now think about that. I was 8 years old, and I remember having fear. Just, you know what I mean?
Interesting.
That did you have as
Yeah.
a kid thinking, oh,
Yeah.
what's happening to our?
It took place in the Watts neighborhood and the surrounding areas in LA, and they were motivated by anger at what the people are calling racist and abusive practices of the LA Police Department. So this was almost 60 years ago
The
today.
media wasn't friendly to the rioters, and so it caused a lot of fear.
So it started when a 21-year-old was pulled over for drunk driving, and then officers attempted to arrest him, and then they beat him with a baton, and then it just kept going from there. Yeah. Okay, our next fun fact of the day in 1984. So this is President Ronald Reagan, who really had a sense of humor. He was doing a sound check. This was a joke, but this is what he said. My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes.
Very funny.
I don't know.
I remember that.
Yes, I remember that, but I can't remember if people took him seriously. I think maybe they did for a minute, right? But
Yes.
it's like, wait, stop. What are you doing? Right? But remember, he was the one who said the axis of evil, so he was willing to call out Russia.
Sure.
Okay, and then on a sadder note, in 1999, this was the day that Salt Lake City experienced an F2 tornado. Do you remember that one?
I remember it very well. I was working downtown, and the tornado came. It was just very, very close to here. In fact, I think it was the parking lot to our east that was hit very, very hard. And the tornado kind of bounced and hit a couple of areas and caused
There was, I think, the
significant-
outdoor recreation show was underway or something like that. There was one fatality.
It's the only tornado I can remember in my lifetime experiencing. But yeah, it was right here in Salt Lake City.
And then finally, another sad story. On this day in 2014, Robin Williams, comedian, died at age 63 by his own hand.
Yeah, and he was one of the geniuses. And in terms of comedy, probably one of the best. You think about comics like him, I'm thinking John Candy, John Belushi, so many more who died at a young age. I mean, it must be troubling. Their minds have such a genius to be so funny and so comical, but then they have a side to them that's, that's kind of.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.